Dun-dun-dun. Oh boy, how is it going, everybody? Let's transition over here. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Happy Friday. Always glad to be back here on The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, the show where we get more in depth on some topics you might not hear around the sphere, such as anime, video games, all that fun stuff. Yes, we are a bit late tonight. We are about an hour late because, unfortunately, I have, I had some, sorry, taking care of closing windows, dogs are barking, blah, 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 blah. Y'all know how it goes at this point. But yeah, so starting Tuesday, I would say, maybe, yeah, probably Tuesday, I don't know what it is, but my ISP just completely pooped itself. It decided it just wanted to not work. It was doing the what do you call it? The trickle thing where like you have, like 5 minutes of good internet, then it stops, but it doesn't say you're disconnected, and then you get like 3 more minutes, and then maybe like an image loads. So like I've had like if anybody was watching the Black Pill stream on Wednesday, I didn't even make it to the end of the show. Or let me rephrase that. I actually made it to the end of the real show, but as we were signing off, my internet gave out and I was absent. So yeah, since about Tuesday, off and on internet. It's really prevented me from getting a lot of work done, unfortunately. I mean, obviously my job is online. You guys know I work for Bounding into Comics, and yeah, if you're not able to access a website, then you can't really write for that website. You know what I mean? So I'm still playing catch up over there. Blah 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 blah. But that's all. That's all aside the point. That's just my personal life. You guys don't give a crap about that. I barely give a crap about that. So first. So tonight we'll be primarily talking about Dragon Ball Daima. Not entirely sure how I want to pronounce it yet or how it should be pronounced yet. But that will be the main topic of discussion tonight is Dragon Ball Daima and sort of where is Dragon Ball in 2023? Where are we going? Should we keep going? All that kind of fun stuff. We'll just have a chat about that. Obviously, there's more Zeb Wells Spider-Man stuff to tear apart because new issue came out. Oh, and Slott came back to Superior Spider-Man, which is always a fun time. But yeah, aside from that, there's been, let's see, what else is before we like get into everything, I sort of just want to do like a sort of smorgasbordy thing of things that happened this week. Obviously, we know there was the big shakeup with Daredevil Born Again, which is hilarious. For those out of the know, Disney basically said they filmed about 7 or so of the 18 episodes that Daredevil Born Again was supposed to be, and this past week they decided, nah, we got to scrap that. Like, this is not going to be good. Like, to the point where, so if you want a more in-depth report on this, check out Bounding into Comics or That Park Place, where I'll be having a video on it coming out very soon. But basically, the rundown of what Born Again was going to be was classic Disney, deconstruction. What's the name? Jake Skywalkering of Matt, right? So from what we can gather from scoopers, from the copyright, like the government copyright site, where you have to register copyrights for everything, like per episode. So every time an episode is slated to be made, produced, blah blah blah, for any show, not just Marvel shows, they have to upload a copyright so you can get information like quick plot, like brief plot details, actors who are going to be in it. That's how we know John Bernthal is coming back as Punisher, at least for the first episode of Daredevil. But basically, the Daredevil Born Again, as Disney was going to have it, was Matt Murdock's back, right? But Foggy and Karen, like the anchors of his person, the soul, the heart of Matt, like they get shot in the I don't think anybody was explicit about whether it happens on screen in the first episode or if it's implied off screen. But basically, those two get shot. Matt blames himself for it, so he stops being Daredevil. Like, he's given up the suit in the first episode. Wilson Fisk has become, or he's running for mayor rather, and he's winning, and he's running on a platform sort of like he did in the comics of anti-vigilantism, street level heroes. He specifically names Daredevil, Punisher, and Spider-Man, but it's a name drop only, not a cameo. And then it apparently took like 4 episodes for Matt to finally suit up in whatever cowl he was going to suit up in. And it's like, so have you guys ever heard the term surf vampire? Let me pull this up because it's, again, shout out to my friend, or not my friend, but my, not even my anything, just Twitter user Exalted Speed, who sometimes replies to me, just guy, great guy. Go follow him as always. But he brought this tweet up the other day, and it's obviously an old tweet, but it's been like stuck in my head because it just so perfectly encapsulates everything. And let's see, I do not have like a. Oh, I'm gonna block it off. Okay, take myself away so that I can show y'all this. Why can't I? Whatever. Okay, that just doesn't want to work. So we're gonna hit that. Let me hit that, girl. Also, check it out. Aren't you guys so happy to be seeing like digital or like layout editing live? It's so fun. I'm glad. Like, I also want to give a shout out to everybody real quick. I know I'm gonna get to the chat in a second, but like for everybody who's stuck with me these last, wow, like 6 weeks now. Thank you. I know it's been rough. I know I've had a lot of I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to a full streaming setup, working on my stream deck, working on all that fun stuff. So thank you everybody for sort of hanging around while I do that. But I digress. So, wow, why is that graphic out? There's just so many weird things going on. I got to do like a full cleanup of my stream deck or my OBS because, yeah, experimentation leads to crazy, just like image 1, image 2, image 3, blah 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 blah, and it's bad. So this is a tweet that Exalted Speed pulled up the other day by Topher Florence from 2 years ago. Quote, back in the day, if you did a TV show called Surf Dracula, you'd see that fool surfing every week in New Adventures. But in the streaming era, the entire first season got to be a long-ass flashback to how he got the surfboard until you finally get him to see, or until you finally get to see him surf for 5 minutes in the finale. And like, personally, I think that's like a perfect encapsulation of what's going on nowadays. Like, it's this so you know how when we talk video games and we talk artificial lengthening, like when you go, oh, I've got all the items, I can go to this area now, and you get a random quest. It's like, oh, I need you to go, like, oh, that I lost the key. Can you go, back 400 areas and kill this enemy and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, it's artificial lengthening. It's obvious that they're just doing that to make sure you don't blow through their game. Well, that's sort of what I feel like this is in application to like drama, right? Like they're forcing drama because I don't know, just none of that sounds great, right? Like, okay, Josh brought this up on the Black Pill stream. I could get behind, if executed well, Foggy and Karen dying. I like the characters. I love the actors. I think Deborah Ann Woll is fantastic. She's beautiful. I always forget Foggy's name because he's like, it's something non-common. So, but that guy rules. But like, it could make for a good story, right? It's just, do we need 4 episodes of Matt moping around? Like, we know he's Daredevil. There's nothing here that the fans are like, in this sense, it just feels like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, really. It's so disappointing that this is the way they want to approach everything, is just surf Draculaing it, drawing things out for the sake of drama that don't need to be drawn out, right? You can still have great drama and great struggles if Matt is in the suit. And like, people are tuning in for a show called Daredevil, not a show called Matt Murdock. This isn't Gotham, right? Remember Gotham? Even though that show lasted and survived, it wasn't the most popular because it's sort of like, well, we know he's like, do we want a Batman show without Batman? And it's like, do you want a Daredevil show without Daredevil? Like, Matt's there, but he's not Daredeviling. It's awful. For more on that and for like better story pitches, I definitely recommend checking out Wednesday night's Black Pill stream, because it was, we totally got into it. We totally broke it down there. I actually wanted to cover Daredevil like tonight, but I figured, everybody and their mother is going to be talking about it in our sphere, outside of our sphere. Let them have their fun. You guys can catch all that coverage somewhere else. So I think, let's bring it a little more niche and weeb over here tonight. So before we go any further with any more random topics, blah blah blah, I want to take a drink of water, but then I want to say hi to the chat because we have first off Society Reviews. My boy Jacob, always a pleasure to see you. Also, get the hell out of here. I don't want you. No, I'm kidding. Jacob says the show sucks. Change the channel. I agree. Change the channel in about 2 hours or so. That's probably the best time to tune out. Truth, always nice to see you. Truth says, come to say hi. I have stuff I got to focus on, but I be here for next week. Hey, that's the beauty of YouTube, isn't it? Like, or of live streams. There will be a archive, recorded version upload, or what's the term? Oh my gosh. Video on, or there will be a VOD later, right? So you can just check it out whenever you have the chance. Zero, always a pleasure to see you. Yeah, it's Daima. I know that's how it's spelled. I'm not positive to how it's pronounced. I know I'm being a bad weeb, but I'm pretty sure it's Daima, so I'm going to be saying Daima, but I feel like one person out there is going to get on my case and go, it's actually Dama, and I don't know, I'm covering my bases. Zero Dozer asks, hey, or have you seen the cringe Jackpot cover? No, I have not. Let's, let me try and pull it up. Do you know what issue it's supposed to be on, Dozer? Because there's just a billion books out there, and I'm not entirely sure which specific Mary Jane variant or Jackpot variant we are currently talking about. Let's see. Next up, we have Timon, Meteor Advocate Timon. Heyo, dude, how's it always going? Yes, Fetch Quest. That's exactly what I was sort of talking about, Meteor. Tehillim Shalom, how are you doing, buddy? Always a pleasure to see you. Really enjoyed watching the live-action One Piece. I ended up purchasing the first box set of One Piece, just waiting for it to be delivered. So, I meant to write... So, I don't know if you caught this, Tehillim. On Wednesday in the Black Pill chat, I actually replied to you, and I was like, oh, because you said something about your One Piece reviews, and I replied like, oh, I still have yet to watch your last one. I'm really excited to see how you ended out like the series. And I accidentally tagged DZ3, so there was a good like 5 minutes where DZ and I were like, who are you talking to? What? No, just answer the what? Oh, so that all said, yeah, I could totally tell that you were enjoying the live action One Piece, and it made me super happy because this is, we've talked about it, like I talked about it on the very first episode of the show actually, which is, while the One Piece adaptation is not, it doesn't it's not great at sort of capturing the emotional core of One Piece, like the optimism, or like the, you know, like the intrapersonal connection to Luffy and the Straw Hats, and just sort of that like connection in your, like, that is sort of absent from the One Piece adaptation, the live action one, because they just cut out a bunch of stuff, which I understand. Like, it's TV, a lot of these side things that they cut, like gosh, I forget his name all of a sudden, but the dog defending the pet food store in wherever Buggy took over. See, like, I don't remember all these damn lands. I'm not Nami. I'm not a navigator, but pinged me on. Okay, cool. I'll check it out in a second. Zero. But what was I saying? Yeah. So like, you know, it skips the dog thing. It skips the side story about the guy being trapped in a treasure box and spending like 40 years of his life guarding the treasure that's on the cliff. And then Luffy goes up there and, you know, discovers it is empty. You know, those kind of little moments that really spark that emotional connection to everything, the emotional investment, aren't there. You still get a lot of the good sort of like optimism that I like in this from One Piece. You know, you still get, again, Inaki rules. He's fantastic as Luffy. He captures that energy. Everything, as dark as it gets, still always has that underlying feeling of like you can take control of your destiny almost. So like, yeah, even things with Usopp, like everything was pretty good. Or no, that's what you're saying to him. Yeah, like yeah, the Usopp pirate stuff, a lot of that was cut. Also, I don't think I brought this up I barely touched on it at the time, but Kaya is so weird looking to me in the live action series because, okay, no disrespect to the actress, she did great. I think I actually like the actress as Kaya, but in the anime and the manga, Kaya looks like 14, 15, because I mean they're all young, right? So it's just, And then I was playing the One Piece card game this weekend, and I have a deck that has a bunch of Kaya cards in it, and it just is like so jarring to me because it just doesn't line up. But so the One Piece, the live action adaptation does a great job of capturing the optimism, the sense of adventure, the hope, but poorly at capturing sort of the emotional bents to it because they had to cut a lot for time. It is very much a production that feels like a bunch of cosplay kids got together and said, hey, do you want to go recreate our favorite scenes? And I mean that in all the best ways. Because, like, even though the costumes look a little weird, they look like cosplay costumes. Like, they don't look lived in. Some things look off. Nami's wig is awful. Like, they're still crafted. Like, there's still something to it. Like, there's still a dedication, a care, even if they didn't give it that extra real world sort of wear and tear, if you know what I mean. I've said this before. In my mind, if you are going to do, like, say you're shooting a Spider-Man movie and you get your Spider-Man suit, and let's say it's, or let's just say you have it. You get your Spider-Man suit. It's weird when you like when. What am I trying to? All right, hold on. Let me step back. Take a Spider-Man costume, right? If you got one right out of the package, or you made one, a cosplay one, it's going to look great, and you're going to look like the character popped off the page. But in the context of the real world and real visualizations, it's going to be not jarring, but people are obviously going to be able to tell, like, that's a costume cosplay. You're not actually trying to emulate that person, you know what I mean? But then, so, like, to that end, if you got, like, a Spider-Man costume and you sort of wore it around for a couple weeks, lounged around in it, rolled around in the dirt, went on a run in it, things like that, you sort of naturally wore it, it would look more natural, as if, like, oh, he's not in costume as Spider-Man. That might actually be Spider-Man. And I think that's what One Piece doesn't do. It focuses too much on bringing them right from the page, like a one-to-one from the page. And I think in the realm of adaptations, I think the super strict adherence they took to the source material like that, like to the point where they didn't want to try and real or like dirty up the costumes. I think that's a great mindset to go, like, we sort of needed a reset in that mindset from what we've had throughout all of American adaptations, right? After, like, Cowboy Bebop and Death Note, it's like, yes, it might be a little too strict to go, like, I'm focusing, like, dead-eyed. I'm not going to even, tell Zorro's costumers to do a different shade of green because I color picked that green from the page or whatever. I think you need that mentality now because they've burned all their goodwill. One, they've burned all their goodwill, so nobody's going to trust them unless they do that. And two, they sort of need to relearn what it means to adapt something. Like, not the One Piece crew specifically, but, like, the entire Hollywood industry, because they've lost sight, as we, with Daredevil, with everything, they've lost sight of, we talk about it all the time. They don't see the product for what it is. They see it as, like, or the IP as for what it is. They see it as a sort of skin that they can put on their pet therapy session, their pet social issue, their pet politics, their unresolved anger at their school bullies. You know what I mean? So I kind of don't know where I was going with that, but that all said, I think what I really like about the One Piece live action is that it is, like, you can see with Tehillim, and I've seen with a bunch of people from around the sphere. Nick Weiser, he's always talking about it. I've heard Gary from Nerdrotics is a big fan of it. I don't really watch his content all the time because it's a little too reactionary for me. But, like, that is the perfect goal. That's what Oda wanted. Oda wanted to make sure that, if you go back and read interviews, he straight up says, like, this is the last chance I had to sort of bring One Piece to the wider world. Because as big as it is in Japan, thanks to, like, 4Kids and the sort of anti-childish sentiment that really takes hold in American pop culture, it's that sense. And yes, it's in other markets too, but it's I feel like it's primarily in America, and because of that, it affects, everything else that goes out. But, like, in America, there's this really hard, like, it's almost taboo to show a genuine like for anything that sort of isn't, quote unquote, like, productive or work related sort of. So like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was trying to say. Oh, so yeah, so like to that end, if you can like Dragon Ball, but you can't genuinely like Dragon Ball. It has to be sort of ironic, right? Like, oh, you can like One Piece, but that only extends as far as getting a cute straw hat keychain and saying, haha, look at me. Like, there's a huge cultural issue with being genuine, and that really screwed up a lot of anime or the adaptation of anime as a genre, or the acceptance rather, not the adaptation, the acceptance of anime as a genre in the West for a long time. But yeah, all that said, I'm really glad the One Piece live action adaptation was good, and it's doing what it's doing, and I know he wants to keep going on forever, and I'm up for it. Like, there are characters I want to see, there are shots I want to see. I want to see more Sanji fighting, right? And so Godspeed and good luck. I'm here for the ride. I hope you guys don't screw it up. Stay hydrated, guys. You must always stay hydrated. Oh, what is this? Okay, so I've pulled up the cover that let's see. So let's see. I can bring my camera back when I do this. So this is the cover that Zero Dozer was pointing out, the cringe jackpot one. So I don't find the cover itself cringe, right? Like, that art is actually probably the best looking like that costume has been ever since they've unveiled it. My problem, sort of like what Master of the TDS says here, is why does this have to be a thing? This is serious. Like, I went over this, I think, 2 weeks ago in my Zeb Wells rant. Like, why does Mary Jane need to have superpowers? Why do they have to be based on that stupid one-liner that or it's not a stupid one-liner, it's a great one-liner, but like, it's overplayed. Like, it's second to with great power comes great responsibility now, to the point where like everybody knows, face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot. Her powers are dumb and like luck based and involve a gadget given to her by Paul. They've already tried to do the jackpot thing before. We went over that, where it was actually like a complete other character, but it was set up as a bait and switch, where there was a new hero named Jackpot, and she would call people Tiger, and she had big red hair and green eyes, and who was this mysterious new spider ally? And it was not Mary Jane, it was just somebody, and I think she's around somewhere. But yeah, like, I hate all the jackpot stuff. I don't like it. I think it should go away. It's just, get rid of it. But put a pin in that, because I think this is a good way to jump to my quick Zeb Wells Spider-Man rant, but I also want to get to the rest of the chat. So put a pin on it, Zero. We'll be back. But let's see. On the model, let's see. Timon says, on the model build topic, not going to assemble Kuga nor Agito. Kuga sucks and Agito sucks less. Moving forward to 555, going to skip Ryugi. Wait, did you buy all their models and you're not going to assemble them? If you've already got them, I would just do it. But if you haven't bought them yet, then yeah, skip them. I also know 555. Like, I love that design or phase, however you want to do it. So that should be really cool to build. And then Ryuki, yeah, I'm fine. I don't have really strong feelings either way on Ryuki. I like that it was adapted to Dragon Knight over here. That's all I can really say about it. Meteor Advocate Timon. No live action adaptation can ever surpass anime. No. And that's true. Live action adaptations, and often even anime, like, it's very rare you'll ever find a production or an adaptation of any kind that surpasses or, exceeds its source material, especially because mediums require different changes, people's imaginations, There's so much stuff involved with source material and people's engagement with it that things will, like, that's, of course, like, that's the echelon, that's the thing. So I think people going into, like, I think that whole mentality that a lot of critics went into, or that a lot of critics held of, why are we getting this? It's inferior. It's dumb. We don't need it. We have the manga. We have the anime. To that, I just say, this, I don't think you should be looking at this as a replacement or the definitive version of One Piece. As Matt Owens and Steve Maeda, the showrunners, have said, it's more just another avenue through which to enjoy One Piece, right? Like, I love the manga to death. Fantastic manga. I don't even think the anime has ever surpassed the manga, right? Like, ever. None of the movies, not Z, not Strong World. That's fine. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see more animated movies. That doesn't mean I don't want to see other takes on it. Because it's sort of like it's like a cover of a song, right? Where, of course, the original song is the original song, but that doesn't mean I can't get something out of this new version, right? Like, what's a pretty, wow, I'm like a huge music dork, and I can't think of anybody who covered anything right now. Oh, like, there, perfect. Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra, right? Frank Sinatra does the Fly Me to, or originally sang that song. I don't even know if he originally did it. I just know, like, for the sake of our argument, he was the one who popularized it, right? Like, he's the one who made it big. His version's the definitive version. Then there's the version sung by, what's her name? And I'm totally, I'm going to look up her name real quick. By, is it Yoko Takahashi? Is that who covered it? Just tell me who sang this version, please, internet. Yeah. Yes. Claire Litley or Yoko Takahashi, obviously English or the Japanese version. They, those two provide a cover of Fly Me to the Moon for the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And it's different. It's a little more haunting, a little more sad, because it's got a light female voice behind it, an airy sort of sad, like an airy desperation to the vocals almost, which, fits with the theme of the show really well. I really like that version, right? I like the female vocals. I like the sort of it's not lo-fi, it's the more like stripped down version, or not even stripped down, but like the more like boom, ba, ba, ba. Like it's a little calmer, it's a little more like Muzak-y, which I'm blanking on the right term because all I'm doing is doing the song a disservice. But to my point, the Fly Me, like the Frank Sinatra one, remains the best one. If somebody comes up to me and says, should I listen to like Fly Me to the Moon? How should I listen? Frank, number one. But, I might recommend to somebody who doesn't necessarily like Frank Sinatra, but might, like, Japanese pop or female vocalists. I might recommend the Fly Me to the Moon to them. And then if they like it, hopefully they'll go, oh, I want to check out the original version. And they'll check out Frank's. And maybe they'll like it more, maybe they won't. But that's sort of how I view this sort of adaptation. Now, this doesn't apply to things like, the MCU or the DCEU or Marvel TV, like those, specifically with the big two and their media stuff, because they are so obsessed with synergy, thinking, the concept of making their comics and their movies align with their characters and their stories and blah, 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 which is a dumb idea. And again, another thing I'm sure you'll hear me bitch about forever. It's such a dumb idea because people, like, oh, okay, now Nick Fury's black in the comics. Great. He looks like the movie version, but I don't know what the hell he's doing. What is the Man on the Moon? What is the Sons of the Serpent? They still have to adapt to the comic book story. So it's just, it's not pulling anybody in, especially when MCU viewers know that there is history and baggage, and it's not necessarily an easy thing to just jump right into, right? But because of that obsession with synergy, they tend to, introduce things that become the definitive version, and then they make it the definitive version, and we all know how it goes. To me, it's a sort of different ecosystem than the One Piece one, because, yeah, they've straight up said, we just want this to be like another avenue, right? Tahillim says, I can totally understand why you like Buggy. Okay, yes, Buggy is the best character, and if you read the manga, My bet, my genuine bet, is that he's going to be Pirate King. Like, I think like Luffy and everybody will find the One Piece or whatever, but I think through comical shenanigans, I think Buggy ends up being Pirate King. Personally, I didn't mind the live action Full Metal Alchemist movies, as I've read quite a bit. Even the Kingdom live action movies aren't too bad. So I kind of have to disagree on the Full Metal ones, because the Full Metal live actions really suffer from that problem of, and here maybe I can pull it up, of what I like to call Japanese CGI, if that makes any sense. Full Metal Alchemist live action. Yeah, just give me what you got for me. Give me any scene. So here, I'm going to switch over. And I'm going to let this is the trailer for the first one. It got licensed by Netflix. It's made from Japan, but just licensed by Netflix. I think we'll leave the audio off because we don't really need, that's not really our concern. We're just going to be sort of looking at it. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, where it's good CGI, or let me rephrase. It's impressive animation, but the CGI is not blended into reality very well. I'm not going to say all, but a lot of Japanese movies, compared to American or European or Italian, even Chinese movies, honestly, a lot of Japanese movies, their special effects, like you can see with Al here, they very much feel like they were added in post. You know what I mean? They don't feel like, it doesn't feel like the characters are interacting with them. It doesn't feel like they're actually in the world. I'm not a huge visual effects expert. I actually do know somebody, and I just thought like it might be really interesting for me to invite him on, and we can talk about this specific problem. But there is just something in the quality of the blending that they do that just more often than not does not completely work. You get used to it while you're watching the movie, so it's not terrible, but you definitely, if you're an American or a Western viewer rather, it will definitely take some getting used to when watching Japanese movies. But that's the only reason I push back against Full Metal Alchemist. Aside from that, like the Kingdom movies, I think the Kingdom movies are fantastic. Those are great adaptations, but those also do the same thing of basically staying one-to-one to the original story. Again, necessary changes are made because different medium, different types of audiences, that kind of stuff. But Kingdom is fantastic. Again, the Full Metal Alchemist movies aren't bad. They're just hard for me personally because of that CGI issue. Let's see. BS, we don't need to wait for the US to like any anime. We have it way before you guys. Oh yeah, no, Brazil, everybody gets anime, all this stuff before us. I was talking to a friend who was born and raised, well, obviously there's Josh, who was, he grew up in Chile. And then I was talking to a friend who grew up in Mexico, like down somewhere southern, not like on the border, but like a little further south. But we've been talking over the past few weeks, and they've been talking about, oh, I had this anime when, this anime aired on TV when I was a kid. This anime aired on TV. The most notable one was Saint Seiya, right? Like Saint Seiya aired on TV, and we didn't get that. Like in America, so I learned after my discussions with those two that America did get a Saint Seiya run, but it was like one time on Cartoon Network at like midnight for however long it took to run like the first season or whatever, right? Like they didn't try. And that's sort of what I was talking about, right? Meteor, is that in America, we have this really dumb idea of kiddie things are for kids. Like, ew, childish, don't come near me, you're weird, you're a loser, I have to be mature. And so we, like a lot of the higher ups, especially older crowds, the ones who are in charge of, licensing, that sort of stuff, they don't want to they look at an earnest story and they go, ugh, that's not going to be right for America. But whereas you guys and most of the world is like, this story is weird and off the walls. Let's go. We're doing it. I'm all in. So that's all I was saying in the sense of, markets and spreading it to the world. And spreading it to the world is more spreading it to America, like the last big market for Oda, because yeah, that's the one market where he's sort of struggled all the time thanks to that mentality. Let's see. Meteor Advocate or Tillum says, I'd rather Mary Jane be a model in the Marvel universe with no powers. Agreed. 100%. I've said it before. There is a really good moment in the Spider Island arc from a few years ago where after all of Manhattan is infected with sort of spider powers and everybody's, citizens, superheroes, villains are all developing spider powers. They can shoot webs, they can jump, stick to walls, and everybody's sort of freaking out. It's chaos. The first person to sort of, lead the charge and tell everybody like, hey, follow me. I know what to do. I can help you is Mary Jane. And they explain it as like, she has spent years with Peter, so she understands the physics of jumping high in the air, of swinging, of all that sort of stuff. And it was a really great moment. Like she even had like some backup web shooters. She was able to sort of like travel around. And it was a really good moment. Again, she didn't permanently stay that way and they didn't make her a superhero, but she was like, I loved Mary Jane for that moment. And I really hate this need for Marvel and just everybody, Marvel more so than DC, to be fair, to superhero-wise everybody. And I know it's just so that they can license it out and market it later on. You know what I mean? Like, Jackpot is not created because somebody really earnestly thought this is going to be a great development for Mary Jane. It was more likely a combination of what can we do with her character and can we get something to market out? Like, can we get something to merchandise out of it? A new design, a new hero. Don't be surprised if we start hear rumblings in the next year or two that probably won't go anywhere, but rumblings of a Jackpot solo movie, right? Because that's what always happens here. The thing is, you can do so much more with animation than you can with live action. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Like, same with like, just by the nature of being able to draw fantastical things. Like, I get that. I totally do. Sometimes though, it's really cool to see, and like I admit this with other things, like Transformers: Rise of the Beast, which is awful, but I had an enjoyable time seeing Optimus Primal just on screen, and that's in what I mean by that is that like sometimes you just want to you just want to see it, you want to see what it would be like in front of your face, and I think like that's the fun part of sort of live action adaptations. Rarely can they do it better or as great or as well rather, but I think sometimes we get some really cool moments out of it. And so that's how I engage with it. And sadly, there are some people who just can't get behind animation. Like they just have been wired in their brains to reject it. So who knows? Like maybe this speaks to them and it'll get them on the ball. Maybe they'll get into anime. As long as I think at the end of the day, an adaptation like this is good as long as A, it respects its source material really well, and B, doesn't it should always position itself as sort of, this is an alternate way to enjoy One Piece. It's not the definitive way or even the original way. Like, it's just a way. Right. And I think as long as it frames it like that, and it's sort of, you end the live action ride with a sign pointing you to the gift shop of the anime and the manga, I think that's a win. I think that's going to be just a general win for Oda. I don't know. I the reason I'm stuttering all of a sudden is because as I was saying that, I realized like it's great business for Oda, but the more normies that get into One Piece and start writing think pieces on it and blah, 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 the more annoying all of this is going to get. So Catch-22, who knows? I have a lot of faith in Oda and actually the showrunners for live action Netflix's One Piece. So let's see where we go from there. Timon, Seiya rules. See, we never got it, or we got it once and then they just went, it's out of there. Confession time. I'm actually making my way through Saint Seiya for the first time right now, the manga, on Josh's recommendation, because I never It was never in the American zeitgeist, I guess. Like, just completely honest. But I'm super enjoying. Like, it's really good. I knew of Saint Seiya, and I played video games, and I knew the story and all that stuff, but I never really sat down and read the manga all the way through. I think I read like the beginning, and then things came up in life. So yes, I can say Saint Seiya does rule. Your number one anime, I can see why. This is not Digimon 4 out of 10. Where's my live action a live action Digimon movie would actually be one of the few times that Japanese sense of CGI disconnect would actually totally work. You know what I mean? Like, it would make sense for them as digital creatures. I'm totally in for that. And yes, to Hillam, animation can absolutely explore many more facets than live action. And yeah, like I that's correct. And it's just, that's like, you know, I don't know, that's correct. Each medium has its own strength, its own weaknesses. I think live action can get the more fantastical. The problem is, like, we saw it in One Piece, right? Like, they want to commit to the fantastical elements. They want to commit to Luffy's rubber and everybody's devil fruit powers. I think the disconnect comes in with, no matter how well they CG it, and no matter how well they adapt it to screen, there's always going to be a personal disconnect in the heads of most viewers of, like, but I know, sort of, like, that's insanely unrealistic to a sense, you know? Whereas with the animation and the manga, your brain can sort of suspend its disbelief and play into the fiction of it all, because it's a different medium. Your brain is sort of, you know, it hits that trigger, that switch that says, nope, this is, like, don't try and apply real world logic to this. This is animation. So, like, we've seen some more fantastical things coming more and more in like Marvel and mainstream productions. Like, I'll give a shout out to the Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, the, like, black-armed demon death cloak that Strange wore. And then, like, Annihilation's entire enemy alien was sort of that weird esoteric-y CG abomination, right? It's just, so, like, I think it's just a continual experiment. I don't want to say it could never do it, but I think at the level we're at right now, obviously it can't. And it is where it is, right? Go look at the clip from the, like, oh man, I'm just going to pull it up because I know which Twitter account it's on. No. Like, please tell me I pulled up the right one. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go to, fine, I'll just go to YouTube. Oh, nope, I think I found it. Okay, I did, but it's the wrong clip. We go to YouTube. We go to, well, I'm not going to spoil it because then you guys aren't going to watch. Yeah. I don't want to watch all 15 minutes of it. Goodness. Man, I'm just going to pull up my personal copy because, honestly, guys, all the uploads they have on YouTube right now look awful. Like, you're not going to be able to tell what the hell I'm talking about. Pardon me. And this links up, Jacob, if you're still here, this completely links up to what we were talking about on the Black Pill stream. Where is my specific video window? There we are. So let me take this. Transition. Oh yeah, I don't think I even talked about that, and I just remembered I put that here. One of the other big things from this week is we lost Keith Giffen. like esteemed comic book creator of Lobo, Ambush Bug, Justice League International, Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle. Like, this got one of the best, most definitive runs of Legion of Superheroes ever. He unfortunately passed away from a stroke on a couple days ago, and they just announced it Wednesday night. If you were on the Black Pill stream, you saw us catch it live. A really huge blow to the entire industry. Giffen absolutely rules. Oh man, I gotta show you guys this because it's just like the most unfortunate bit of timing I feel. Let's see. Let us see. Someday, guy. Like I said, someday I'll have all of my stuff on nice, convenient buttons, and I can just click, 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 or like hit my Steam Deck, and things will change, and it'll be all smooth, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, Spence, Mav, did you get a producer? And I'll be like, you silly, silly bastards. Like, this made me so sad to realize when so yesterday, if you check out Bounding into Comics, I wrote a obituary for Giffen. You know, I really like him. I am genuinely sad he's gone. But I was kind of like, you know, going through his life, giving a rundown. What was Giffen up to in the more recent years of his life? Yeah, it was. So this is Giffen on his last creative endeavor, which was a new podcast he launched in, what is it? In like April, May, literally called I'm Not Dead Yet with Keith Giffen. Like, it's just such an unfortunate title. And like, it's even more sad because it only lasted 3 episodes before he just stopped. And he didn't talk about it. Like, ostensibly, he just got, like, his health gave out, right? And it's just like, man, woof, that's like some bad timing. Yeah, his family, I told them I was sick, anything not to go to New York Comic Con. Thanks, Keith Giffen, 1952 to 2023. Like, just, you know, he created Rocket Raccoon, the infamous Guy Gardner One Punch. Fun fact, for those who didn't know this, I didn't know this either. He actually oversaw, and it's right here, he oversaw the first American localizations of the Battle Royale and Ikki Tosen mangas. Like, what? He unfortunately, like, again, early 2002s, as we were talking about, people thought anime's weird and not pliable to American audiences in manga. So, unfortunately, I know Ikki Tosen Battle Vixens has a bunch of changes. I think Battle Royale does too, but I don't think it's as severe. But it's an unfortunate stamp on that little fun bit of trivia. But again, not really Giffen's fault. I mean, that's just where the industry was at the time. But if you have not yet, if you are a Marvel Comics fan of any kind and you like cosmic heroes, if you like the Guardians of the Galaxy, if you like the Nova Corps, if you like Silver Surfer, Thanos, please go read the 2007 or 2006, 7, 8 event, Annihilation. This is a panel from it. It is the final panel from it. If that's not enough to entice you to go check it out, I don't know what is. I've been obsessed with this page since I was in high school. Keith Giffen wrote it. It's an amazing, amazing story that basically sees Annihilus coming, you know, breaking out of the negative zone and coming to invade our universe, not just like our reality, but like he's going all in, and obviously it takes the combined might of everybody. And also it gives this amazing page. Let me see if I can pull it up here and take this away so you don't see my searching. Giffen, or I don't know if Giffen gave us this page, but it obviously it derives from his work. 400 different pages I have to go to just to get this for you guys. But this is how, never say I don't love y'all. Never say I don't love you. But, so this is one of my favorite pages, period. Post-Civil War, Civil War has just happened, and Annihilation just happened, Civil War just happened. this is Nova's first visit back to Earth since he sort of spent 2 years in space fighting an intergalactic war. So I'm just going to read it so those who are just listening can kind of get the gravity of it. So Nova is speaking with Tony, and he asks Tony, "Can't believe you don't know about it, the Annihilation event." Tony says, "We had some intelligence via Shi'ar sources, but it was vague. Frankly, we thought it was just another Kree border squabble, and we were a little busy." And like this, and it's so great. And so Nova doesn't accept that, and he fires back, "Galactic culture nearly collapsed. Billions died. The Skrull Empire is gone. Xandar too, along with huge chunks of the Kree territories. Quasar died in front of my eyes. Even Thanos was killed. And you heard something vague? As commander of the United Front, I sent a warning to Earth. I sent it to the Fantastic Four, Mr. Stark." Ooh, I get chills just like thinking of what comes next. Tony replies, "Please, call me Tony. I'll check with Reed. I heard of no warning. Richard, I'd appreciate it if you briefed S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Galactic Affairs Office on the details of this war. You say Annihilus was the driving force? What happened to him?" And then Nova with the best, "I pulled him inside out and saved the universe. What have you done lately, Tony?" It's so good. I believe this ends with Tony asking Nova to register, and he basically tells Tony to piss off. It's fantastic, but oh my god, like there's like 7 different plot threads to that we're like crossing over here. So let's start unraveling them all. That is all to say that we lost Keith Giffen, which is immensely terrible. I hope he got some royalties for what little royalties he could get from the Blue Beetle movie, right? I hope that helps pay for to take care of his family, or maybe not the royalties, but like any licensing. I actually don't know if he even got anything, considering how fucking awful the comic book industry is with treating its talent. But so that is why down here I have a illustration provided by Kevin McGuire of the Justice League International. Just like last week, we had the Project 70 Castlevania card with Clayton Kershaw on it, hanging out during our Castlevania talk. I figured we'd just bring in the Justice League to, sort of hang out, say goodbye to Keith, and just, it's really sad. But, so, I bring this all back to the One Piece anime or the topic of CGI in live action. So, while it might not be at a point right now where our minds are reasonably able to look at the more fantastical things and super easily suspend our disbelief, I don't think that's necessarily a reason to stop trying, because obviously technology improves. And this right here is for those who, let's see, is it? Yeah. Okay. So this is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie from 1996, 7, and its CGI is really bad. I want to, like, these are all the individual Zord, but like, here's like Ivan Ooze's main bug villain thing. Like, these straight up look like Windows 95 Bonsai Buddy desktop editions, right? That awful shot of Tommy's Falcon Zord, it's not great. And obviously they were trying to go for the more fantastical, the giant robots fighting giant ooze monsters on the streets of Garden Grove, Los Angeles, right? But right here, oh gosh, it gets really bad here. But, like if they hadn't tried this, we would have probably, it would have taken longer for us to get to the point where something like Luffy looks good, or where something like Avengers Endgame or Infinity War looks fantastic, right? Like, so I don't think necessarily we should stop trying. I think we should keep trying, but there's got to be like a genuine commitment to the source material. Like, it has to be apparent that you aren't ashamed of what you're working with, that you're not Simon Bennett formerly of Power Rangers fame. Whereas in Marvel, the CGI and the realism is used to sort of ground them in the real life to go, oh, yeah, they're superheroes, but they can also be real, right? And like, so if they're real, it's not that weird. But like as we've seen here, we just had big sticky Ivan Ooze glob monster jump off of the tower and fly down. We have, you know, this thing, this giant shiny metallic hybrid that crushes things. And it's not necessarily great, but they tried. Like, they earnestly tried. They even, you know, they didn't shy away. They didn't say, oh, we need to make everything here into construction equipment and make it a fully, you know, realistic bulldozer machine. I'm just pulling things out of my ass here. They said, let's be Zords, let's have ooze monsters. And I think that goes a long way in giving that sort of, what's the right word? Like leeway, credit. Like, it's how I feel with One Piece, where, yeah, it doesn't look most fantastic, but they tried. And I can give them a lot of effort for that, because while I'm watching, I feel like they're doing their best to try. I'm just going to pause it on that awful shot. Like, I feel like they're trying their best to do what they can, rather than doing their best to be ashamed of it. You know what I mean? So Tahillim says, on the topic of Dragon Ball, I still need to get the first box set. I have Dragon Ball Z box set. Be careful with the box set purchases. I think that might be something I talk about on Twitter or make a post about, but there are like 900 different releases for this show, or for the Dragon Ball series, and not all of them are great. There's particularly one I believe they did like 10 years ago, or maybe like 5 years ago, where they basically denoised everything. So they got rid of a lot of details and the film grain, and it just doesn't feel right. It feels like the statue or the painting of Jesus that the person tried to restore, and then it ended up looking like a monkey and her baby. Like, yeah, like 2007, I was 2 years from finishing college. I was 1 year. The only good stuff that came with MMPR was the awesome theme song. The rest sucks. Theme song's good. I don't know. It introduced me to Kimberly, to Amy Jo Johnston, and I don't think I could ever be mad at that. The Zord looks worse than the mock Zord from the reboot or reboot cartoon. The reboot CG cartoon. What reboot CG cartoon? Am I missing something? Are you talking about what's coming up? Let me know, because I feel like I've tripped over myself now. But yeah, like, this looks better than the weird cheesy, or the weird, like, angle Zord, if you want to call it, from the 2017 movie. Because that thing, again, that was, how do we make a Power Rangers without making a Power Rangers? And it's soulless. It's literally the definition of soul versus soulless. Here is this ugly bastard. Let's look at him. I'm not even going to try to get a high quality shot, because I don't even really know if one exists. Kill that window. I am in the wrong window. Let's see. Let's see. Let us see. Oh, there we go. Ugh. Ugh. Like, what is that? This weird bio. It's like, it's awful. Like, I don't know. Like, this is the wrong way to do it, right? Like, this is just absolutely the wrong way to do Power Rangers. So, with all that said, let's, what do I want to do real quick? I think let's do a real quick update on Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run, because that's like my bread and butter, and it's what I hate, and it always makes me angry. Where are all my windows? It's going to be so cool, guys, when I have it all set up and I can do things. Let's see. Open, please. Oh, I killed the window. I'm not very good at my job. Yes. Oh, good. I at least got this set up. This set up better. All right. So, Zeb, quick, let's spend maybe like 5-10 minutes on this, but Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run continues to be ass of the highest caliber. So first of all, first a recap for everybody, just in case you haven't been here the past 5 weeks, or you haven't seen me on Bounding Into Comics before, or you just don't know me. We are currently going through a Spider-Man arc where Peter Parker has been... So basically, Zeb Wells' Spider-Man in a nutshell. Peter Parker and Mary Jane are broken up for the umpteenth time. It is a mystery. It is revealed that the reason they broke up is because of a time displacement where Mary Jane was in a different universe than Peter, and time moved faster over there. While there, she was trapped with a guy named Paul and just got together with him without even considering anything about Peter. Just not even assuming he's coming back, not even hoping, just saying, all right, I'm with this guy now. And so then that's the new status quo. And then there was a really dumb mid storyline that I've not even touched on because it was only like 5-6 issues and it was pointless, where Spider-Man was starting to like use the equipment of his enemies. Like he got Doc Ock's old arms and he painted them red and he used them for a bit. And then obviously here he's got the glider from Osborn. It's just, or I mean, he was using the glider at the beginning of the run, right? Like that's the other thing that's happened is Osborn's nice now, and so he's helping Peter, he's on his side, and then Kamala Khan dies and everybody's supposed to be sad, but then Kraven and the Queen Goblin decide that they want to hunt Norman Osborn, the real Green Goblin, and so they put all of his sins that the Senator removed into a spear and they go to stab him, and Peter jumps in the way and he gets plunged with all of Norman's sins. It's not good. Like, that recap sucks, right? Oh! And Chasm! How could I have forgotten? But I digress. So that's where we are right now. This issue caps off the 3-issue arc of, essentially, as I've called it, the Spider-Man who laughs. Basically, as you see here, Green Goblin Peter. And I hate this cover, by the way. Like, aside from the fact that Peter should never be, like, riding a glider of any kind, it offends me. I hate, like, the mask design, the open face. I don't know. It's just, admittedly, it is just a one-off cover shot that, what's his name? Romita Jr. wanted, like, he dropped. It's just a cover image. I get it. But it's a stupid cover image, and it does not help. Oh, did I get hit? Oh, crap. I didn't even realize I got struck. Am I back now? I'm sure I got hit. That's why Zero's saying he's back now. Wow, I genuinely didn't know I got hit. I bet you I got hit just for playing that footage, the Power Rangers footage, which, fine. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably argue fair use, but I'm not even monetized yet or even close to it. Like, subscribe, tell your friends to follow, all that fun stuff. Obviously, keep giving me watch hours. Help me out there. Dang, that's crazy, Zero. I genuinely had no idea. There's no... Even my... whatchamacallit, like the live stream control room said nothing that, like, it didn't tell me that I stopped. I just kept going. Wow. Timon, you meant like reboot the cartoon. I thought you meant like a Power Rangers CG reboot. And I was like, huh? Did I miss that? No. You're right. It does look worse than reboot. And I actually like reboot. It's really hard to watch now. Both that and OG Beast Wars, who were produced by the same Canadian animation company. But they're still fun if you can get through it. Like, I still throw on Beast Wars from time to time. I love Cheetor. He's my boy. But yeah, let's get back to, first of all, go to heck, YouTube. Second, let's get back to Spider-Man. So there's not a lot to sort of talk about in this issue particularly because let's see, I think I'm going to switch to the large page view here so that everybody can see. But like, we went through this last week because we saw preview images, Peter getting all, for lack of a better term, and I know this is what Zeb Wells was trying to imply, Peter got all incel-y, Paul took you from me, you stupid woman, like, you own me, or I own you, you betrayed me. Oh yeah, and this is stupid too, straight up for Dozer here. Here's her jackpot powers. I still don't really know what they mean or what they do. I guess she can make cards, like Green Lantern style cards, it doesn't make, it's all dumb. But yeah, and then like I hate this moment because why is it doing that? That's not what I wanted it to do. I want to it's going to be too hard to try and scroll it. But if you guys catch the issue, or you pause right here, you can see this little tussle essentially ends with Peter going, oh, I'm going to take Paul and do to him what Norman did to Gwen Stacy. Like, haha, won't that get to you? And then like, oh, this is so stupid. They like, so I'm just going to, so there's this interaction right here where Peter, grabs Paul, starts like riding him up, or what do you call it? Like rocking him up a bridge. And he says, you never should have come to this world, Paul. You don't belong here. And Paul says, I'm not going anywhere. You do what you got to do. And it's like, I know exactly what Wells is trying to do here, right? Like he's trying to show Peter as this sort of like monster, this evil, possessive incel monster. But Paul over here, look how sweet he is, guys. Look how understanding. He's ready to let himself die at the hands of a random guy's rampage. And it's like, that doesn't work because for all intents and purposes, anybody in this situation should be like, hey, Spider-Man, fuck off, right? Or like calling for help. It's one of those moments that like, it's one of those sort of turn to the camera moments where it's like, yeah, isn't Peter bad, guys? Like, ugh. At least this guy's good. This is how you should handle things. And it's like, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. I can't suspend my disbelief for that. Also, screw Paul. Like just get rid of Paul. So then it comes down to, also, I will admit, I really like that shot right there of Peter, like, glossy-eyed and staring down Kraven. I do think that's a really good shot. Again, Patrick Gleason killed it. I have no issues with Gleason's work on this arc. He rules. He's great. So don't even get me wrong. But this essentially ends with, oh man. So Norman reconstructs a spear. He stabs Peter, gets the sins back in the spear. Kraven goes, oh, I know my whole mission was to hunt like the Goblin, improve myself, but since Spider-Man taunted me by throwing me in a coffin with a gun and I didn't kill myself, I consider that just as equal of a win, and I've proven myself to myself, and I'm out. Like, goodbye. And it's just like, what the hell was the point of any of this then, right? And then to that end, so Peter gets the sins removed out of him. MJ straight up just says, like, I know that wasn't you. I know, like, don't worry, you're fine. And then, like, as Osborn explains here, Peter's worried, like, oh man, this is going to sink my reputation. And Osborn goes, well, lucky for you, the black suit is mainly associated with Venoms now, so they'll probably blame it on him rather than you. And it's just like, okay. And then, Osborn's evil again. And it's just like, what was the point of that arc? Like, this page right here is supposed to be that sort of brand new day style ending where it's like, all right, this is where we are now, off into the sunset, like off to the next adventure, and like back to basics, off to the next adventure. Hero you know and love, they're back, they're here. This was just a 3-issue run. Like, this was just a 3-issue run. It doesn't deserve this big of a send-off. And also, nothing changed. As we just went through, Norman's evil again, and nobody thinks Peter did any wrong, including MJ. Kraven just pisses off, and the Goblin Queen just pisses off. Paul apparently is fine with Peter. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get some really awful, long, dragged-out crap, like, conversation in a couple issues, but for all intents and purposes, there's no resolution to that arc, and things are just fine. It's such bad writing. Like, it's an entire arc meant to go to the fan base. Like, it's not even insulting or trolling them. It's less mature than that. It is literally just, you guys don't like my run? Well, now I'm doing this. What are you going to do about it? Like, it is really, it's just such a perfect encapsulation of the immaturity that runs rampant in that industry nowadays, right? Let's see. Peter would never kill, period. Except he has once by accident. But yeah, you're right, Zero. Peter would not kill. And like, to have him even threaten to kill, or like, I don't know, like that entire thing with Paul is just really, really stupid. Zeb Wells is doing everything in his power to ruin Peter. Oh, yeah. Like, not just Peter, but everybody in the Spider universe. At this point, he is straight up just like, what am I trying to say here? At this point, Zeb Wells is just like, he really cares more about shock factor than writing a cohesive story. And that's why we've gotten things like, oh, Doc Ock is back in his fat pudgy body and he's acting like a little wiener again. Like, it's all just like, oh, you want the readers want this, the viewers say that, screw off. And Kraven looks like JJ. That's actually pretty funny. He does. That's also not Kraven Prime, like that's his son. Just, it doesn't really have any bearing on the story or anything we're talking about. I just wanted to make note of that for anybody curious. What was the point of everything involving Paul? Can Marvel just die as a company already? Yeah, Zero. So what was the point of everything involving Paul? It was literally, where's the page? Where are the Paul pages? There it is. Paul's entire role right now, or existence in Marvel, is just to serve as the object with which Wells and company can keep Mary Jane and Peter broken apart. Like, they have not even given Paul a last name yet. If you go to his wiki, it is just Paul, Earth 616. It is, this is not a character, it is a prop. Paul is a prop that Wells and Lowe and all those jerks slot. It's that they can use. He's an object, a tool that they can use to drum up controversy, to piss off Spider fans. And again, that is the only reason he exists. To that end, to that point. Also, real quick, Meteor Advocate Timon says that crappy image. The mask guys are too big. Just surname him Wells Slot. I like that, to him. Paul's last name is Watson. Wanna bet? Says Timon. Dude, especially because he's from another Earth, right? So it'll be like alternate universe version of her family or something. I don't know, but you're probably super right. But yeah, Timon also says crappy image. The mask eyes are too big. What kind of eyes? I'm gonna respond to Timon. Let me restart. So when it comes to Spider-Man masks, I don't like the giant ones, but I do enjoy a bigger one. I think Mark Bagley got it, like he hits it perfectly on the head. I do feel these ones are a little too big, and I'm sort of there with you. But I do want to ask if anybody, like, I'm genuinely curious. What do you guys like in a Spider-Man mask? Do you like the thinner, sharp ones? Do you like the big ones? Do you like the black outlines or not? I'm just curious because I'm just curious. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I do think the eyes are too big. So if we remembered last week, or was it last week? I think it might have been the week before. We read a letter from our boy Ricardo. And Ricardo was very passionate about his love of, or is it passionate? Is that the right term? I think maybe what I'm trying to say is that he kind of was able to vocalize everything us Spider fans have been bitching about for the last couple months, right? So he wrote in a letter that was basically like, what are you doing to Chasm? Or like, what are you doing to Ben? What are you doing to MJ? What are you doing to Peter? Why? Like, not a lot of people like this. And Nick Lowe, the Spider editor, basically fired back with, okay, Ricardo, like, You say people don't like it, but we get letters all the time. You're not like the sentiment that Peter and MJ should be married and one more day should be undone is it's not a widespread view. So sorry. Um man, I cannot get my sizing on this one correct tonight. So let's go back to the what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I'm trying to just because I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Let's go to my face real quick. Boom. While I try and so because what we have this week, what I am trying to set up is that Ricardo is not alone. Remember, we salute Ricardo. Ricardo, you're our boy. If you're ever around, I would be happy to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like hit me up, whatever. Oh my gosh, I blinked on the Ricardo thing again because I'm trying to do too many things. Oh, but yeah, like Ricardo, that letter was pretty much on point. It kind of addressed all of our issues and then the Spider editor team just really like I would recommend going back to the stream and either reading it or watching my recap of it because he just really does not like fans and does not want to hear from them and probably hates your dog. like not even gonna lie about that. He's not a happy man. Not a happy man. So for the sake of just posterity, I think I'm going to keep up this full page version of the letters page. I know you can't read it, but if you are interested, you can pause it. You can check it out. Again, I'm working on my setup, guys. It will get better. I promise. I also just need a good solid amount of time to sit down and work on things. Work and life is just crazy lately, right? So, yeah, Timon, I do like the McFarlane mask with like the points on them. Like I really do like that. Zero says, "Oh yeah, Wells insulting the fans." Yep, you remember. And then Tehillim says the Dragon Ball Z box set I was talking about earlier is the manga box sets. Oh, then go ahead. You're fine. Don't even trip there. Those got great localizations. They name like Boo weird. I think they name him Majin like Boo. And it's just like, okay, fine, technically, but he's BUU. What are we doing here? But anyway, so we got another letter, this time from an individual simply referred to as a Spidey fan. And again, we're going to read it, and then I'm going to read back to you the response from Spider editor, let's see, I believe right now this is Nick Lowe. Yeah, Spider editor Nick Lowe. Dear Spider-Man team, I don't want to insult you or I'm going to change which window I have this on so I can actually look at you guys. Dear Spider-Man team, I don't want to insult or come at anybody on the team. I know a lot of emails are probably very hateful, insulting, or threatening, and I really want to convey that I'm trying to write this in the most respectful and civil way possible. There is writing from each and every single person on the team that I enjoy and love. With that said, I'm sure the entire team receives an absurd amount of hate mail about One More Day. I'm part of the vast majority of people who hate the storyline. Note that, vast majority of people who hate the storyline. I'm sure it was written with love for the character, and I do not in any way think that I quote, could write it better, or anything as it isn't my job. It's yours. With that said, I'm just genuinely curious as to why the Peter Parker of Earth 616 can't just develop. Why shouldn't he be allowed to be married, have a kid? Bruce Wayne has a ton of kids if you count all the Robins. If you don't, then he has Damian Wayne. Clark Kent has John Kent and Lois Lane. Characters having their families doesn't make them unlikable or change the status quo enough to hurt them. We like them being happy. I know Peter being married and having a kid shakes up the status quo, but that does not have to be a bad thing. It does not feel like Peter is developing in any way. What would have been Aunt May's death during One More Day was a large, dramatic, and fitting repercussion from Peter revealing his identity during Civil War, and could have stayed that way for Peter to realize how heavily his actions influence his loved ones. I don't think necessarily that me sending this is going to even change anything. I feel like you probably get tens of thousands of letters a month complaining about this exact thing. So I guess I'm wondering, if the Spidey team knows that a vast majority of fans dislike how things went down, then why is that still how things went down? Why hasn't it been retconned or something? I know sales are still good, but maybe sales would be even better, or I don't know why I did that, but like, it's because it's emphasis, would be even better if Spidey fans got what they've been mailing you, that they've wanted for years. I notice how sarcastic I sound, but I'm really not trying to insult anybody. I just really cannot possibly understand the logic behind any of it, and I'd like to understand. Hoping the entire team stays healthy and well, a Spidey fan. So, that's our opening letter. Admittedly, like, it's pretty respectful, right? Or like, it's not combative. He doesn't come at him with rage or like bile, like the kind I would probably have, right? He comes with him and straight up just says, like, look, I get it. Like, he says, like, I understand all this, but also why? Like, I don't get it. Why are you so adamant that we stay here? Also, you might have noticed I paused for a second, like when I was reading that letter, where at the point where it says, or where he wrote, quote, I'm sure it was written with love for the character. It definitely was freaking not. For anybody who does not remember, Joe Quesada said, I want to undo the Spider marriage because nobody can relate to that Peter Parker. People want to see a broke, on his ass, down on his luck Peter Parker. That's relatable. No love for the character, simply a love for attempted sales, right? Like, I get, again, Spidey fan. I know you're being super nice, and I understand, but I also just, you don't need to pull all your punches. You know what I mean? Yes, and Timon, I got that Paul's last name is Watson because he's such a beta that he took Mary Jane's last name. The only reason I didn't give that angle any more weight is that they're not married yet in the comics. Unless that could be a thing Wells reveals, right? And definitely, if he does, if they end up being revealed to be like secretly wed or married or something, I guarantee you it's Paul Watson. Like, mark my words. And no, I wouldn't oppose Aunt May dying either. Like, what's left for her? I like her as a character. She has really good moments. That issue where she discovers Peter is Spider-Man and sort of has like takes the day to sort of process it. It happened back in the Straczynski run. Fantastic issue. Love it. There's that moment it actually might be, it's either Slot. No, it can't be. It's when, I think it's still during the Straczynski run when Peter is living at Avengers Tower with the new Avengers, and the Chameleon breaks in and he tries to, he disguises himself as Peter Spider-Man and tries to like infiltrate, but Aunt May notices and like bakes some cookies with arsenic in it, and because he's trying to play along, he eats them, blah, blah, blah. Really good moment. And she's had a lot of emotional lessons for him. But at this point, I genuinely feel like we keep retreading the same 4 Aunt May plots. You know, Aunt May is sick, need to help her. Aunt May is in love with a new person, and I need to learn to accept that new person and protect them in my life. Oh no, my enemies are threatening Aunt May. Aunt May wants to do something new, and I'm unsure about it. But in the end, I learned that she's her own independent person. Like, those are probably the 4 storylines we keep retreading with Aunt May. And there's just nothing new to come from them. Peter has learned his lessons. He understands what he understands from his time with Aunt May. And that's not to say she can't offer more advice or be there in his life. It's just, I don't know, in a narrative story sense, why we keep her around. To the extent that she's been killed off in most Spider media lately. Like, the PS4 games. I believe she's dead in, she's dead in the PS4 games. She's dead in, I think, Spider-Verse. I think Peter B. Parker's Aunt May is dead, right? Not entirely sure. There were some, like, alternate universe stories we got a couple years back that had Aunt May dead. Like, they clearly want to do it, but it's that sort of, it's that fear of like, oh, we can't lose something like a recognizable character, that is a thing people know, capital TM, right? And so you got to keep her around. But I'm with you, Timon. I'm with this writer, like, or this letter writer. I definitely think that Civil War should have just stayed, and Peter should have learned the consequences of his actions, and Aunt May is dead. No. Avengers Disassemble was before he joined the team. That was right before he joined the team, because the Avengers disassemble, then they become they die, or they get attacked by Scarlet Witch, they disassemble, then they get reunited by the Breakout at the Raft to be the new Avengers. No, that's not too early of a Spidey. It's like mid-level Spidey, right? And I think you can make, so yeah, again, for people who don't see the chat, because I have yet to put the chat crap on the actual video, Timon saying Aunt May being dead in the PS4 game sucks. That's early Spidey. And I think an argument can be made there, but I think the fact that it is such like a middle point in Peter's life. I mean, like, he just got his main villain, his Dr. Octopus, right? That's issue 3 of the comics, and it took Pete like 5 years, I don't know, to get to that point. I think you could make an argument that it's too early to kill off May. I think you can make an argument that it works for like happening in that exact moment to give a certain emotional bent. I like it simply because I don't care. I don't want to keep going back to Feast. I don't want to. She's just unnecessary in that game. By the way, new game's coming out next week. I just remembered. Have fun, everybody who has a PS5. I'm waiting for that on PC. The costumes are all awful. They have like 65 and they're all bad. You can check my rant on the game out in the other stream. But back to the letter. So again, a Spidey fan just as nice and cordial as Ricardo from the other day. So salute Ricardo, salute a Spidey fan. Here's what Nick Lowe had to say in return. Quote, "Thanks for writing, a Spidey fan, and I truly appreciate your civil and respectful tone. Going to respond to a few things here. We get fan mail, but we certainly don't get a lot of mail about One More Day. That came out 15 years ago. From my point of view, you're overstating the vast majority thing. Most months, we don't get any letters about One More Day. When we do a story with Peter and MJ, we sometimes get a dozen emails from fans who want them married again, like you. We get more letters from people talking about other things altogether. We don't get, quote, tens of thousands of letters a month, end quote, about anything, to be honest, as most readers just read the book and feel however they feel about it. You're passionate, which I totally respect and appreciate, but you're also making a lot of assumptions about a large fan base and retailer community. Sorry to say, but these assumptions aren't borne out by our metrics. Again, I respect your opinion and appreciate you writing." Bullshit! Bullshit! Everything Nick Lowe just said there was a load of bullshit. So, like, the insulting thing, like, he starts getting really insulting right here with One More Day came out 15 years ago. From my point of view, you're overstating the vast majority thing. What was I doing? What was I writing? I was writing a story about, gosh, I don't even remember. I think I was just like looking up like worst comic book like decisions, like editorial decisions, character changes, all that stuff. And consistently, no matter what list I looked at from whichever outlet, so CBR, comicbook.com, oh gosh, what's the other one? Not Slash Film, Games Radar, because they have Newsarama now. That's who it is. Even like those all feature One More Day as like the worst editorial decision. It's like in their top 3 every single time. And if you go to any forum on the internet, open up Twitter, open up, I will never call it X, by the way, never. It's Twitter. Open up Twitter, open up Reddit, open up a YouTube comment section. If any discussion is occurring about, either Spider-Man's current direction, Mary Jane in particular, or like bad editorial decisions in general, One More Day is always brought up. It is a literal blight on the comic book industry. Everybody knows it. Everybody thinks it was terrible. There is a reason there's a reason 15 years later, a Spidey fan, Ricardo, and myself, people like us, are still pissed off about it, right? Like, it's bad. So to wave it off is like, oh, that was 15 years ago. What are you still crying about? Like, how dare you? What are we still crying about? We're still crying about the fact that it's still here, like a Spidey fan said, and you guys continue to defend it. Then there's the point of, like, this is not an argument. When we do a story with Peter and MJ, we sometimes get a dozen emails from fans who want them married again, like you. We get more letters from people talking about other things altogether. What? Okay. That doesn't mean you're not getting letters from people who want MJ and Peter to be married again. You're basically saying, like, yes, you're right, Ricardo, but we also get a bunch of other letters, and it's like, has nothing to do with it. It's a very thin, like, defense, or a thin, transparent defense, and it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you clearly have no defense. You're just going like, oh, not everybody's complaining about it, so why do you have a problem? That's not, no. We were fine with lead paint in the walls for a long time until somebody, like, complained, right? Like, it's an awful mentality that you won't seriously address it. Like, rather than seriously address it and say, like, look, we hear you. This is why we're sticking with it, you know, narrative-wise, decision-wise, publishing-wise. Here is why we continue to keep Peter and MJ broken apart. It wouldn't help, let me rephrase that. It wouldn't automatically make everything better, but it would absolutely help. Like, it would make readers understand, like, okay, you're screwing up, but, like, I know why you're screwing up. Good luck with it. You know, this is just insulting them to ignore the point. Because instead of, you know, explaining to us what's going on, they just go, nope, I don't see that. And, like this part where it's like, you're passionate, which I totally respect and appreciate, but you're also making a lot of assumptions about a large fan base and retailer community. He is not. Literally, like I just said, go look it up. You'll find a bunch of people. You are publishing letters every issue, Nick Lowe, of people complaining, like, what's going on? Like, maybe you're not getting inundated with billions and thousands upon thousands of letters, but I guarantee, put out a tweet. Nick Lowe, go to the Spider-Man Twitter account, go to the Marvel Comics Twitter account, put out a tweet, say, how do you feel about One More Day? Or even more vague, go, what is, like, Marvel's had a lot of stumbles over the years. Which one do you think was our worst? You will absolutely have fans and retailers, because they are also fans, going, that One More Day. You like, the most common ones I hear are like One More Day, New 52, and there was another one that, like, a lot of people brought up, and I'm just, like, totally blanking on it right now. But, Secret Empire. That's what it was. Like, those three are the consistent ones that get raised by comic book fans. And personally, I disagree with New 52. I think we got some good stuff out of it. Again, it's my whole issue with, they didn't commit to the reset. We'll talk about that someday. I'll talk about it in a video. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you guys here. But, like, this is the attitude that I still don't understand from the Spider offices, which is basically, fuck you. Like, and I just, why? Like, it doesn't need to be this like, this is, comic books have always made weird decisions for whatever reasons, right? Never have I ever, you know, whether it's things like Clark in New 52 being, you know, like a little bit of a weenie, not being married to Lois and just learning how to use those powers, right? Or Batman having a kid. Like, there are decisions that, the Batman as a kid one actually worked out. But, like, there are comic book history is littered with examples where where writers, editors, whatever, tried something and it didn't work, and, you know, they realized it and they said, we got to take that back. I'm doing a video on this sort of subject right now, and the one I'm going to refer to is post Crisis on Infinite Earth, when Power Girl and when everything was merged. Power Girl literally had no origin anymore since it sort of went to Supergirl. So they tried a bunch of stuff to make her fit in the DCU, and they turned her into the long lost descendant of the Atlantean wizard Arion. And her powers were Atlantean based and magic based, not Kryptonian. And then she got magic pregnant. And the baby disappeared. It's weird, it's bad, but they moved on. They went, okay, that didn't work. We tried. Let's go. Never have I ever, and yeah, lots of times people will commit to their bad moves, like Jason Aaron throughout most of his Avengers run or his Thor run. But never have I ever seen a team so actively combative to their fan base, or to their reader base, rather. I don't know if anybody on this team has fans at all anymore. There's a difference between saying, I have a vision, you might not like it, I'm going to go forward with it, which still stupid, but more understandable, and just pure, unfiltered schoolyard fighting. It's really, really sad. It's pathetic, and I genuinely don't know when it's going to change. And I don't know how it's going to change until you just gut that entire office. Yes, and that's another good point that I haven't even really taught. I didn't point it out because it was sort of just accepted, right, Timon? Is that where does he say that right here? Gosh. Oh no, he said, a Spidey fan says it, where he says, I know sales are still good, but maybe sales would be even better if Spidey fans got what they've been mailing you that they've wanted for years. Sales are not good. So to the Spider books credit, those do end up being, pardon me, oof, Marvel's top sellers, right? Let's go to let's go check out Comic-Con, which, again, I know the metrics are all weird now that everybody's going to different distributors and essentially trying to hide their metrics, right? But we can take a look at the... Oh, you don't have them yet? Okay. So let's so basically the main metric that Comic-Con can provide us with nowadays is the gosh, what is the term I'm trying to say here? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the term, and it's not really that hard of a term. The advanced reorders, that's what it is, and it's right there in big and red. I'm gonna look stupid in a second. So basically, advanced reorders are right here. These reorders, placed further out than regular reorders, tend to be more speculative in nature, as there is less certainty the stock will be available, but they do give us the furthest into the future look at potential sales. To see potential sales for this month, you generally want to look at the advanced reorders placed from the month before. So this is the October advanced reorders, which means it will be, this is probably what's going to be the charts for November. There is no... DC is not on this list because they're going through their own distributors now. I think they might have a little bit of information for hardcovers down at the bottom, but not a lot. But you can see, even as far as Marvel comics go, you have, so Gods is an event, so of course that's going to get a big sale boost. You have Sensational She-Hulk foil variant, which I'm not even sure. That might be a weird distributor item or entry, because there's no number attached to it. So I don't know. But yeah, then you got Immortal Thor #1, Star Wars High Republic Shadows of Starlight #1, Strange Academy Amazing Spider-Man #1. So you're getting a lot of #1s, but also when you get, that's 1 week, right? When we get to this next week, we start seeing Amazing Spider-Man 35 variant, Amazing Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, and we go to the next week. We have Spider-Boy, which is awful, but it's a Spider title, right? Spider-Boy, Spine-tingling Spider-Boy. The next week, you've got the next issue of Amazing Spider-Man is right there, top, like near the top of the list. Uncanny Spider-Man, number 2. Oh, that's okay, that's still Spider-Man, but that's the Nightcrawler book. Another couple variants for an Amazing Spider-Man book. The Spider-Gwen trade paperback. Oh my gosh, what is like the IVD2 or whatever? IVP2? Like sales numbers? They're more accurate. Top 50 comic book sales numbers. ICV2, that's what it is. I'm stupid. Sales. Let's see what they can give us. And when you're looking at their numbers, you got to be very careful about what you're looking at, because they all have different metrics and they're all assembled differently. I completely embarrassed somebody on Twitter about that because he thought he was so right, but he was like giving me the wrong chart the entire time. Be careful. But if we're looking, so here is a more accurate, there's not exact numbers, but it's a more accurate sales chart. Here's where we got September 2023. Let's look at the top 10, all right? Predator versus Wolverine, Batman, Spider-Man, Batman, Daredevil, X-Men, Batman, Wonder Woman, another Spider-Man, and another Spider-Man. Then if you want to extend it, Venom's right there in 11th place. Like, the books are, for Marvel, near the top. Like, I will admit that. Spider-Gwen annuals here at 34. Death of the Venomverse, if you want to, again, if we're really reaching for things. Another Venom annual. Miles Morales Spider-Man, if we're really reaching. So they do sell, but that has to be taken in the context of the entire industry, which is crapping its pants right now, where everything is like, yes, these are the top 50, but there's no numbers, right? We don't know how many of these sold. They're not great. I'm just like, I will go out on a limb and say, not great. It's, just not the Brazilian comic on number 1, the Monica, you saw that? Yeah, right? Viva Brazil! Brasilia! But yeah, so it sells, but it's selling in a void of, or it's selling in an environment of crumbling returns. You know what I mean? You can be the best. You could be the number one, let's say, boxer in the slums, but you're still just a boxer in the slums. You're not fighting with the heavyweights. You're not fighting with even real trained amateurs. You're just fighting outside of the bar at 2 a.m. every night. Context matters. So I don't know if to Ricardo's point, if that would completely save Spidey if they gave fans what they actually wanted, but I am positive that it would be better than what we got now, just hands down. Hey, why is all my stuff being weird? It's all not aligned anymore. What happened? We were doing so well. What happened here? Oh well. Whoops. Well, oh, now it's back to normal. Yay, OBS. But yeah, so I think I went a little longer than 15 minutes, but that's really, I'm still mad about this. I'm going to keep being mad about this. Tune in, number one spot, number one source, maybe only source for continued Zeb Wells Amazing Spider-Man coverage. It's just, you know what? I only have one real response to that. I have one real response to this entire section. And I have to look it up because I don't have it right on me, even though I did a little while ago. Come on, y'all already know what clip is coming, but basically this is how I will always feel about this damn run until somebody over there gets a brain, scarecrows it up. If I only had a brain, right? Like, it's just, somebody, please. Somebody save me.
Mara Jade.
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Dad, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him like burned and we'll
I don't
execute
even
and
know who
burned.
that guy is. So I sit there.
Classic clip. But I think that is enough time ranting about the web slinger. Why don't we turn to tonight's main topic, which is the fact that, like its main cast, Dragon Ball will not die. So, in case anybody didn't see, I believe this was released as part of New York City Comic-Con, or at least probably to ride off of its coattails since it's happening right now. But oh man, now I just remembered the Jason Aaron news, and now I'm like sad all over again. Oh, sorry, Timon. Yeah, again, guys, help me out with sound, because I don't know it. I'm so bad with it on my end. So now I know that was too loud. Good. I'll keep it lower the next time I play it. But yeah, so we have a new series coming up. It is called Dragon Ball Daima. We got a brief trailer for the series. Gonna kill the volume, or not kill it, but like bring it down a little bit. Basically, this project essentially looks like it's going to be like, it says series, but I also kind of just feel like it's going to be a gag, or like a very short mini series, a limited series, because as we'll see, the plot of the project, boom, we got Shenron, we got Dragon Balls, we've got I'm back. Very disappointed, by the way, that it looks like they're keeping the CG at least a little bit, because that Shenron is completely CGI. So here is the essential twist of this series, right? Yeah, it's a series. It is Dragon Ball babies. We are kind of, what I've been referring to this as GT Light almost, because it's just, it is very reminiscent of the plot of GT, of, oh hey, I wish Goku was a kid again. We don't currently know a lot about pretty much anything outside of the fact that it looks like they're going to be kids again. Power pole, by the way, I'm so happy to see that. Like, I just love the power pole, and I miss the more adventurous parts of the original Dragon Ball compared to the straight like fight, train dynamics of Z. But I digress. So yeah, looks like it's going to be a very simple sort of I don't want to say a gag series, but it looks like it's going to be very much based on a sort of GT Light. I wish they were all kids again, and it affects everybody. We saw back here the incredible, where was it? I love that shot of him so much. Krillin! But yeah, so everybody's going to be a kid. Looks like they're going to be fighting a god of some sort, or entity that has some sort of relation to well, he's got like a Supreme Kai, but he's also got a lot. If you look at all the pictures that are like rotating around him, he's really focused on magic, or rather the like bibbidi bobbidi stuff. And nobody knows what any of this means at this point, right? Basically, this is all we know, is that it's a teaser trailer. We have no idea if it's going to be like 15-minute episodes like Dragon Ball Heroes, or if it's going to be like a full-fledged normal anime, or if it's going to be, I don't know, like we don't, or a web series, we don't know. But yeah, so we've had rumors for a while now that we're going to be getting a new Dragon Ball series, and this is it. I'm open to, when it comes to Dragon Ball, obviously, like, it's probably my favorite anime period. If I were to put them like on echelons, like at the top of the what do you call it, the pantheon is probably Dragon Ball for me. It's like, and I've been enjoying everything they've been doing. It's just very odd that with all the material they have sort of available right now to actually adapt, they chose to do this side story kid thing instead of Moro or Granola, who are that, and that's currently what's happening in Super, right? This could honestly go anyway. I'm not entirely sure if it's like, it could go way too comical, it could go way too serious, it could have a legitimate plot, it could just be completely gag based. No idea. The way I'm sort of approaching this is from the presumption that it's going to be more of the latter, less a serious canon series and more of a fun side goof off, maybe canon, but one that has very little ramifications outside of introducing the bad guy and the Kai to the Dragon Ball world, right? But to me, I don't know. I need to know more. There's just not enough for me to. Yeah, Dragon Ball babies, we make our dreams come true. Dragon Ball babies will do the same for you. That's exactly it, right? Chibi versus Dragon Ball. Gohan is one of my favorites in Dragon Ball Z. I like Kid Gohan, like little baby with a tail Gohan, and training for Saiyan Saga Gohan. As Gohan gets older, he's cool and he has his moments. I mean, Saiyan Man is the best character, period. But I don't know, he becomes sort of just a little too much of a wiener for me. Yeah, so, oh yeah, and the other really funny part about this plot, Marin's there. I'll just use Marin as the example. Or, nope, there they are. Goten and Trunks are kids again. I just think that's kind of funny considering we just got them in the superhero movie as teenagers for the first time, and then we're not just reverse aging them, we are babying them. So yeah, like, it looks really good, or like, it looks clean. I'm glad it doesn't look like there's as much CGI as we've been getting. Like, this scene right here in particular could have been very CGI-y easily, right? With the but luckily we only, so far it looks like it's only Shenron. But yeah, to me, I do genuinely wonder, and I've been wondering this for a long time, because so when it comes to Dragon Ball GT, and here we even have, this video's even provided us an incredible graphic for it. When it comes to Dragon Ball GT, obviously that's the black sheep, Black Star Dragon Ball, no pun intended, of the franchise. Mostly because it was done completely without the involvement of Akira Toriyama. It was Toei. They said, hey, we got the license. Let's keep going. Let's milk this cash cow. So the end result, as we all sort of know by now, is something middling. It's Dragon Ball, but it's got some weird decisions and they kind of stretch things. But underneath the sort of weird executive moves on it, there's something decent there, at least in my opinion. There's some really good ideas. There's some really good plots. Like, I genuinely like the idea of, and obviously this was before Granola and alternate universe Saiyans and everybody being alive or whatever, but I like the idea of the babies, the truffle people, being like the rivals of the Saiyans who got eliminated. And now baby Vegeta is the one who's like, hey, no. Like, I'm taking revenge on the Saiyans because I hate them. The entire plot with the Dark Star Dragon Balls, I think, is a great premise. I think it's horribly executed. Just got to develop it a little bit more, make the dragons a little more unique, give them a little more personality. But like, the concept of some a set of Dragon Balls being so overcome with negative energy that they sort of crack and manifest physically, and it's up to everybody to put them sort of back in the balls. Pretty cool idea. I'd be up for it. So that said, and like, I've noticed in recent years, we're starting to see a a lot more people revisit GT with a more open attitude, right? Like more people are going, GT wasn't that bad. There were some things I liked from it. You know, oftentimes it's Super Saiyan 4. A lot of people I freaking love, at least Goku Super Saiyan 4. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. Oh man, my green screen's taking out his pants, but like I got the figure arts and everything, right? I love my SS4 Goku. But I digress. So well, like it's getting a lot more favorable like looks. People are liking it more. It is appearing in more and more games. Like I know like Xenoverse 2 had freaking Omega Shenron and SS4 Gogeta and like Pan. Like they're playable. And I think there's even a costume for Trunks to be in his GT gear, like his shorts. Not short shorts, just shorts. When I was a kid, I was always like, why are you like, I'm not a big particular fan of shorts. At least I wasn't as a kid because I just didn't like the way I looked or whatever. But I remember seeing Trunks in shorts and being like, they ruined my favorite character. That's so lame. Shorts are for dorks. Now I'm a little more open to them, but in my head, there's still just this weird association that they're like unnaturally short shorts. But so with all this sort of retrospective on GT happening, I was ready to place bets that, and still kind of am, that we're going to get some revisit to GT soon. Whether it's in the form of like an OVA in a movie or a redo, like if that's just what Toyotaro and Toriyama do in the manga, they just decided like go for it. I think it's coming. I think we've gotten to the point where most Dragon Ball fans and even Toriyama himself are a little more okay with 4 or with GT. So like, I wonder if this is going to be a series and it's not just going to be the term I keep dropping in my head is a 4-coma series, because in manga there are these things called 4-coma comics where they're 4 panels and they're usually just completely out of continuity. They involves the characters and they're all jokes. They're all gags. Pop Team Epic is a great example of like what a 4-coma comic is, right? If that's the direction the series goes, I'm okay with it. It's going to be a fun little side thing. I'll be happy to see more Power Pole. I want to see the Nimbus. I want to like Dragon Ball to me, and I know Timon's going to disagree heavily, but like to me, there's a certain point where Dragon Ball is like comfort food, where it might not be the best project ever that like Daima, but I'm happy just to see like Goku again and Nozawa, and like it's nice to see them. And as long as it's in a fairly respectable project, I'm all right with it. Now, if they announced like a reboot and they were like, oh, here comes Goku to Adult Swim, then we would have some problems. But so far so good. I just like seeing them around. And yes, I am 100% that person who's susceptible to like marketing. Like I bet they'll make a toy of Goku and Vegeta, like a figure arts pack, and I'm probably going to buy it. But so if it goes in the gag direction, fine. I don't really think there's a lot to worry about or fret about it. Lots of projects, lots of things do that. If it goes in the GT direction, I think we could have something here, right? I would be really more invested, especially if they, I'm not the biggest Vegeta fan. I will admit that. He's kind of just always, it's really funny. So when it comes to me and John, we like, so like, for example, like, what am I trying to say here? So it's very funny, the characters John and I like and the characters John and I dislike, because they always end up being sort of that, they always give that good pair dynamic. And I'm talking about John F. Trent, editor-in-chief over at Bounding Into Comics, right? And my buddy, I don't know why I just referred to him as my boss, but like, I love Goku. I find, I love his like childishness, his optimism, his free spirit. I'm not a big fan of Vegeta because I just think he's, like, oh my God, get over yourself. Like, shut up. Like, I'm not a fan of the very big pompous characters. John loves Vegeta and hates Goku for the exact reasons I just listed out. And like the same thing applies with My Hero Academia. I love Deku. I love I identify with him as like this downtrodden kid who just wants to be a hero and do his best. John loves Bakugo, hates Deku, and I hate Bakugo. Like, it's a funny thing I've been noticing, and I think if you know us and you've like, checked out a Black Pill stream or read our work on the site, whatever, I think it's a dynamic that very much makes sense. And I think it's a big part of why bounding is successful, because you have one attitude, another attitude, bring them together. They can mesh, right? So, but I digress. Bringing in Vegeta into the GT setup could be cool. I don't know. There is so little in this trailer that I genuinely couldn't tell anybody. I would not make any prediction on this past maybe like we will see the flying Nimbus. That's probably the only real bet I would place on this upcoming project. Aside from the fact that it's probably going to be fun, right? Like, I don't know, like chibi characters are always cute, guys. Like I am still a weeb at heart. I can't deny that. That's a very fair point, Timon. That's not Kid Goku. Kid Goku is chubby. This is Goku as a kid, not Kid Goku. That's a very fair point. Yeah, and it's true. It's a different chibi style. And yeah, I actually do like the Kid Goku one. Timon says the bigger problem with Dragon Ball is the power level went up exponentially. By the end of Z, they could destroy the solar. Yeah, I mean, look at the Super manga right now, right? I mean, in the Moro arc, as much as I visually like the moment, and I think it has its own sort of hype in it, like in a bubble. Like I don't know if it's really good for the entire series, but I like the moment itself. Goku was able to merge with Moro merged with the freaking Earth and became like a planet-sized Titan, and Goku manifested a giant energy key shell to fight back. I don't know, man. It's weird. We're getting into weird places. Yeah, I have a problem with that power scaling too, Timon, and I think that's half the reason why they had to shoot everybody into space in Z or in GT, because what do we do now? I think Super's I think Super has been better since they returned to the series and have been giving it more attention with Super and everything. I think the power growth has been more reasonable, but they've introduced like 900 more forms that make it all super confusing. And then you get like the alternate universe mechanics of like Kaba and his Saiyans, and then you get like the Justice Rangers and how their powers work. And it's just, we've traded one problem for another, right? Instead of just exponential growth against exponentially stronger enemies, we're getting into enemies with different mechanics that we can't remember but apply all the time and have new rules for the mechanics we're working with. So we're in a weird spot. I'm right there with you. As much as I love seeing every new power up because it's a new flashy color, I think we've gotten way too many. I don't think we should have gotten to blue as soon as we did. Like Super Saiyan God Blue should have had God only existed for like a movie, and then like Vegeta uses it in Broly, but that's it. It's just, why did we even have it then? It's weird. It's a weird spot with power levels, but so I don't know if I'd say it's better, but it's different. Pick your poison, right? Tahillim says Shoto is one of my favorites in My Hero Academia. Shoto's good. My favorites are Mount Lady, just because Supreme Waifu. Mirako, obviously, because another Supreme Waifu. And Lemillion. That's my favorite guy. Lemillion. He's just cool. He's also just superhero Tintin. Timon says Kururin. Kururin is how they say it in Japan also. Kururin. Yeah. Krillin is how I know it, but I also like Kururin a lot more. So whichever. But Kururin is the best character. He gets 18. Best waifu. Agree. I always drop that trivia to Josh. Because Josh is a huge Josh over at Bounding Into Comics, good friend, coworker, blah blah blah. He's a huge Dragon Ball fan. We end up talking about it at least one night a week, every week. And he's recently been on a kick of like, I'm really sad that Krillin just got sidelined during everything, like post Android Saga, right? And I'm like, and I agree with him, but I also keep playfully like pushing back, like, did he lose, or did he like did he bow out because he won? He got 18. What more do you like? Okay, I'm good. Bye. Like, so I'm right there with you. Personally, I have an affinity for Vidal as well, 18 and Vidal, but that's because you guys know me. I'm a tomboy connoisseur, if you will, and so Vidal just hits all those right spots. And she has a great Saiyaman outfit. She becomes a Saiyaman herself. Let's just look at this little clip again because I just like the way it looks. See, like, the animation looks great. The quality is very, like, crisp. Looks great. Not a lot to... Unless you're not open to the idea of a chibi experiment, there's probably not a lot to... or let me rephrase that. Unless you're, like, not a fan of this attempt to go chibi... I'm trying to land on Goku. Oh, I had him. Can I do it? Can I do it? This will be my last try. Oh, did I go too far? Last try, guys. Can I get Goku? Oh, I did not. Yeah, unless you have like a really big, like you have a really big issue and you just can't handle the idea of a Dragon, or I don't want to say handle, but you don't like the idea of a chibi Dragon Ball series, then I would understand why you would feel that, or like why you would, take a lot of umbrage with this trailer, with this project. It's a valid feeling, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, I don't personally hold it. I'm open to seeing what they can do. So it's interesting. I'm excited. Superhero was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Sadly, it like kind of fell off at the end. Like, I like the idea of Cell Max, but I don't know. It just sort of devolved into a Marvel blue beam shooting into the sky kind of plot. But Superhero was good. So, and then we have Tenkaichi 4, which, yeah. So I'm gonna pull up that trailer really quick because it sort of ties back into sort of the main topic of the stream, which is we are seeing, I don't want to say a resurgence, but a lot of new Dragon Ball content. I mean, we always do, but now we're starting to get a lot of, the anime. The fact that we're getting an anime is a pretty big thing. Video games, we get one or two every single year, but we haven't had, animes are very few and far between. Even the movies, admittedly, though we're getting more. But all that taken in, wow, they did the same thing here. They did like a recap. They started with Tenkaichi 1 and then they came back to Tenkaichi 4. But whoosh, whoosh. I kind of really like that font that a lot of like Japanese anime games use on their title screens for English. So it's I guess what I'm trying to say is Dragon Ball fans are eating good, right? Like we're getting some pretty good projects. I would like to open up, or what am I trying to say? Yeah, so we're there's a lot more Dragon Ball stuff. It's obviously getting a lot more attention. It's becoming a lot more main pop culture. Like, it's becoming more mainstream than ever, even though it already was. I think with the acceptance of anime in recent years, we're starting to see a lot more stuff. I mean, Broly and Superhero got theatrical releases. Broly destroyed the box office back when it came out. Like, it was, and that was like pre-pandemic and everything. So it got a theatrical release in America and blew everybody else out of the water, right? Like, Timon says, never cared for anime movies of current series. They are never canon until Demon Hunter. Yeah, that is a big problem with like anime movies. You kind of just have to accept, if you're going to watch a movie, you kind of just have to accept that that's what you're going to get. Like, you're going to get a standalone adventure. I like those. They work really well for One Piece. A lot of the One Piece movies are sort of one-shot adventures that don't really tie in, but given the sort of adventure nature, the traveling all over nature of the series, and the fact that they don't introduce new powers and stuff in the films, it makes it a little easier to digest and be like, okay, this is just like a side thing they're doing. With Dragon Ball, it's a little weirder because they do introduce like canon powers and enemies and plot points then they just like don't ever touch, like they don't touch on them in the main series. Like Cooler or Lord Slug, like his entire existence, or Goku, how Goku acquired the Dragon Fist, like that was a movie thing, and so I think that in recent years we started to see a little bit of a change with that, with like Demon Hunter and like the One Piece movies, where I think we've realized that we got to, like, the studios realize they got to be a little better about just like, we can't completely disregard continuity because fans are going to remember, like these productions don't exist in a bubble. They exist within the context of the rest of the series and everything else. And you can say it's non-canon, but the second you do, some people are going to tune out. It automatically gets shoved to a lower, what's the right word? Like a lower, I want to say level, but that's not the right term. It's like a lower cast, a lower priority level, a less serious existence in the mind of fans and stuff. So I definitely think you're right there. But with all this Dragon Ball stuff, oh wait, hold on. First Dragon Ball movie I saw was the first Broly movie with the Tree of Life, 93. Did they play them together? That's cool. The first ones I remember seeing was Tree of Life. Like, because they used to play on Cartoon Network the ocean dub versions of Tree of Might, World's Strongest, and Garlic Jr. Like the Return of Garlic, or no, just Dead Zone. That's what it is. It's not Garlic, it's Dead Zone. They would play those three all the time, and I loved them. I loved them all the time. My favorite of those is probably Tree of Might, just because there's something I really like about Turles. I don't know why. I even use him in Xenoverse 2 all the time. He has the he even, like, you can eat the fruit from the Tree of Might and it gives you a huge buff, and it's a move that you can put on your creative character. It's great. No, Timon, I know you saw it in the theater, but like, was it a double feature, or did you go see like Broly and then you went and saw Tree of Life? Just because I know that they're short, they're like 40 minutes long, if that. Broly might be a little longer, but that's just, it would make sense. But we're seeing this huge push in Dragon Ball, and I hope it's all good, because the second we start getting bad quality stuff, like, I just fear the MCUification of Dragon Ball, and we're slowly starting to get there. But at the same time, rather than, like, we're getting a lot more media, but as opposed to the MCU where that media is just content, right? It's stuff that people are actually putting like they're real, they're like actual things, like actual projects people will care about, like an anime series. We Tenkaichi 4, which a surprise thing out of nowhere. Like, these are things people want, not, the Mr. Satan origin miniseries, 6 episodes on Paramount Plus that ties into the second Videl movie coming exclusively to Hulu. Like, none of that stuff. Like, it's just, here's a fighting game, here's an anime, we're doing what we're doing. And the fact that Toriyama's involved helps. I feel like he's a little more open to going wild with his source material than Oda, because look at all the different forms we've gotten in all the movies these past couple years, right? But I would still rather have him attached to something than just let any old somebody sort of touch it. I mean, give it to Toyotaro maybe, and I would be cool with that. But yeah, exactly. Toriyama's involvement is what really draws people in. If you didn't have that, Zero, like Zero pointed out, a lot more people would be cautious, I think. Like, I think if, like, personally, like, I think Super sort of lost a lot of steam with the Tournament of Power, because it's like, we're doing another fighting tournament. We just did a tournament. Is this all the plot we can do? And I think a lot of the fact that more people haven't sort of called out Dragon Ball, like, that repetition, is a lot. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it came from Toriyama himself. So he gives a lot of goodwill to that, like, these projects. But I also know that it's not necessarily a guarantee, because we got things like Super, right? Or like, it's not a guarantee of a project's quality because we got things like Super. I'm hoping for the best, and with his involvement, it leans more heavily towards, like, being good or at least enjoyable. So we'll see. We will definitely see. I don't really have a lot to say about Tenkaichi. I just really wanted to bring it up for that comparison of, or for to note that we're getting more stuff and hopefully it's good. But the one thing I will say about Tenkaichi is I don't know how it's going to differentiate itself sort of from Xenoverse 2. I guess maybe with a more one-on-one focused approach, but if anybody here has played a Tenkaichi game and played a Xenoverse game, it's roughly the same third person behind the character fighting sim with, or not sim, but like fighting game, I guess you would call it a fighting game. Fighting action game with moves assigned to triggers and buttons. It's very similar, and I don't know how it's gonna work out. My thing with Tenkaichi 4 is so much of it has already been done by Xenoverse 2. Like, you got, like we just said, like the gameplay, the combat, but also when they say like it's gonna be a huge, like the most recent leak, we had a leak a couple of weeks back from Geekdom 101, who, he's not my cup of tea, but take his scoops for what they are. He sort of, came out and was like, my sources have told me that this is going to be a huge roster, bigger than we've ever seen before, biggest playable roster in a Dragon Ball fighting game. And I think back to Xenoverse 2, which previously, or at least currently, holds that title, right? And it's got lots of people. Like I said, like it's got all the GT Dragons, like that's random. It's got Bardock's Saiyan crew, like Sasha and them, like, okay. So but to that point, it has a bunch of characters already. What more can you put into Tenkaichi 4 that will sort of blow that away in a meaningful, take that record in a meaningful way? Because you could easily just be like, okay, throw in all the Pride Troopers, right? The Justice Rangers or whatever they were that Jiren's part of, and Rainbow Ranger, something like that. Pride Troop, I think it is Pride Troopers, but you could throw all of them in, and that would be easy. But would they all have the proper attention given to making them fun to play? Because there are a lot of characters in Xenoverse 2, and I remember back in my Tenkaichi days that, yeah, they're like, it's cool to see them, but their movesets are very generic, they're very boring, they're not really inspired. You got a beam move, you've got a dash move, you have an aura power-up, like you can power up to another form, but it's really just changing the color of your aura. So I just hope Tenkaichi 4 doesn't do that and doesn't throw in 500 characters that are just copies of, Yamcha's moveset. They haven't done it before, but it's just to reach that echelon or that whatchamacallit, that goal of being the biggest game ever. There's a difference between being the biggest game ever and being the biggest game ever that's good. So here's hoping, Tenkaichi. You look fantastic. I mean, we're at a really good place in anime video game graphics right now. I think we could sharpen up the details on his clothes a little bit, but aside from that, like, it looks great. It's like the Fighters look. It's like the Xenoverse 2 look. Nothing to really say there. I hope it's good. That's all I can really say about it. Sorry, it was the Tree of Might. It was released in Dragon Ball, or it was released as in Brazil as Dragon Ball Z the movie. No, okay. Hold on, Timon. This is what I'm asking. So, I know you saw both Tree of Might and Broly in theaters, but did you see those two movies together? Like, did the theater cut the print or like do a back-to-back airing since they're so short? Or did you get to go to like two different like screenings? That's what I'm curious. That's all I'm asking. I definitely know which ones you saw, and I'm definitely jealous you did. Let's see. You should see. Zero says, you should see the people spurging over Daima, going gung-ho at Ioku because it's not the return of the Super anime, or the people that use stupid arguments against Super to defend Daima. I mean, that's sort of what I was like talking about earlier. Like, some people are going to like it, are going to like Daima. Some people are going to really, really not like Daima. But I think the key is sort of tempering your expectations and not doing stupid stuff like that. Like, you don't need it. Nobody over at Toei went like, oh, we're doing this instead of another season of Super. You know what I mean? This is very clearly just another project. And so I personally feel Super is going to come back someday, but right now you've only got really 2 arcs to adapt. You've got Moro and you've got Granola, which long, sure, but maybe throw in another sort of like conclusory arc for them to like actually be like, Super's done. It's coming back, but you don't need to swing at people who are excited for this. You don't. Or people that use stupid arguments against Super to defend Daima. Or hold on. RC, what up? We are just talking some Dragon Ball. Nice to see you, my man. I just wanted to make sure I got to you before I continued ranting. But yeah, like we don't even know anything about this yet, guys. Like I said, it could be is it going to be like a gag series, or is it going to be a full entry where this plays into the plot and we get Toriyama's GT? Who knows? We don't know anything. So to pick fights on that level, you can be mad that it's not Super, but to be like, oh, you're doing this instead of Super, how dare you? The argument doesn't work. And just chill. Like, you're gonna get it eventually, guys. And also, it's the Super anime. Who really cares? Go read the manga. It's already there. You don't need to cry. Timon says, oh, my memory merged the movies. I saw the Tree in theater and Broly on VHS. Gotcha. That's still really cool. Like, I would have loved to see Tree of Might in the theater. I think, like, I can't remember before Broly any real anime film I got to see in theaters that wasn't sort of like a Ghibli special Fathom event type thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, I was just too young, or I was like growing up at the wrong time in the anime story. You know what I mean? Like, I was at that age where anime was still very foreign to American audience. Like, I was born in the 90s. Anime was still very foreign to most audiences. You were not getting theatrical releases, and if you were, they were very heavily edited, redubbed, weird things. So, like, it was rough out there. Let me tell you, boys, it was rough out there. But nowadays it's a lot better. And so, yeah, I'm glad. And again, that goes back to the point, Timon, that we were talking about at the top of more like anime is cool and acceptable down in like South America, whereas in America, like United States of America, it's still seen as like childish. I guarantee you, if that mindset didn't exist, we would have probably gotten a Dragon Ball movie in theaters, right? Probably Cooler. Honestly, like Cooler's Revenge probably would have gone into theaters. But yes, I'm super jealous of that, Timon. Zero says, adapt the Broly movie, put Moro and Granola sagas in, adapt Superhero with the manga content. You'll have enough for 60 episodes or so, maybe even more. That's a good point. I didn't even think about properly adapting the Broly movie. Like, I didn't even think about that. Because in the manga right now, Zero, they do that really dumb thing where it's like, for Resurrection of F and Battle of Gods, it's like, oh no, I think they do that. I think it's Broly, isn't it, Zero? They do have like a quick injection of the Broly story, but it's just like a recap bubble where it's like, what have Goku and Vegeta been up to? Training, and then they had a mysterious like trip, but they're back now, and it's just like, why can't, like, okay, is it canon? So now the movie's just canon? But yeah, no, you're right. Like, I would be totally up for adapting that. You have Broly, you have Moro, you have Granola, you have the new stuff they're doing now with like the Sentai, Trunks and Goten. That's okay. Yeah, I was right. It was that Broly recap. Yeah, and you can expand on the material to make even more episodes. I would be up for a short filler arc of Goten and Trunks being more superhero stuff. Play into the legacy of Great Saiyaman. I mean, they do in the comics, but like, I'm up for more of it as long as you keep it tight, right? Like, I don't want Naruto style where it's 40 episodes of it, but I would be up for that. So it's just like, there is stuff. So yeah, addendum to my previous statement is that, like, yeah, there is a lot you can do. I don't know why they're not doing Super, but I don't think that this is a replacement. I genuinely think they're sort of waiting for Toyotaro and Toriyama to be like, all right, we're done here, or something. I don't know, or they're holding it back for another season. But this I can't get again. I'll watch it. I will see what we're gonna get. I will probably steal a lot of screenshots for it for bounding, but those nerds need to go outside and touch grass. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, Tahillim, you are getting out of here. Catch up with you next time. Enjoy dropping by. Don't forget to check out the live action One Piece overall season review and rating video on my channel. Yes, so first of all, take it easy, Tahillim. Second, please go check out his channel. He's been reviewing aside from just a bunch of comic books, which are great to know that somebody else out there at least is aware of what's going on. But he's also been reviewing the live action One Piece. They've been great reviews. As I said at the top, it's been really fun hearing the journey from an outsider's perspective. Definitely go check him out. Go subscribe. Do it right now. Zero Dozer said it's not a replacement if its own thing. I'm not. What did I say? Replacement? I'm not thinking anything. Oh, you mean Daima? Yes, exactly. It's not a replacement. It's just, it's a side thing. Like, who knows, guys? I'm surprised that Yoko didn't lose his job after the whole Capsule Corp kerfuffle. I thought Ioku was the one who didn't he do it? Wasn't he the one who went and made the company? Let me look real quick. Okay, so yeah, no. I don't think he would have lost his job because he's still technically attached to the franchise. He's just not attached to Toei anymore, right? Or Shueisha, that whole branch. Yeah, the whole Shueisha Capsule Corp thing. So basically, for those who don't know, Akira Toriyama's right-hand man inside the Shonen Jump Dragon Ball editorial offices, Akio Ioku, he recently left Shonen Jump and took a couple employees with him to found Capsule Corporation, like actual Capsule Corporation, a new company whose job it will be to handle the publishing and direction of Dragon Ball media that is not, I think it's like the manga is not in his purview, and the rights to the Dragon Ball manga will remain with Shueisha, and that the games and video related work will be transferred to Capsule. So Shueisha's got the manga still. Ioku and Capsule Corporation have the rights to the anime. So anything that's going to pop up with an anime, Ioko's going to be attached to it still. Which I'm glad. I kind of do more of this. Take back control of your product. Obviously, I'm speaking right like off the cuff. I don't know enough about how the business situation works, but I like the idea of, striking out on your own. I mean, isn't that sort of one of the big things we all preach it over here? Just do it. Just do it. You are Knuff, as Cider likes to say. Yeah. I just realized I thought I had pulled it up for everybody, but yeah, Zero. I was looking at the Bounding Into Comics article by Nerdykins about that, and it says, yeah, the quote is, the rights to the Dragon Ball manga will remain with Shueisha, and the games and video related work will be transferred to Capsule. Yeah, Geekdom. It's not the story of how Capsule Corp was formed that I'm unsure of. It's more, what does it mean in the context of like Japanese business? Is it a good financial move? Is it only for finance? I don't know that whole miasma. I know the story. Story's great. I don't have the miasma. Yeah, you totally got it right. Like, was there ever any doubt, Zero? You're like, aside from Josh, you're probably the second most on point Dragon Ball fan I know, which is a good thing, a very good thing. What is this? Oh, it's the Daima teaser. So before we leave tonight, I want to share a quick clip because, oh wow, 2 hours and 30. I didn't even realize we've been going for that long already. But I want to share this a clip because with the dropping of the Daima trailer, this Simpsons scene was the very first thing that popped in my head. Now, I don't think Toriyama feels the same as the featured comic book creator towards the continued licensing of his work, but I definitely think he just check it out. You'll love it. It's great. Let's do it. Take myself away. How do I do that? Whoosh. Goodbye.
Alan Moore, you wrote my favorite issues of Radioactive Man.
Oh, really? So you like that I made your favourite superhero a heroin-addicted jazz critic who's not radioactive?
I don't read the words. I just like when he punches people. How do you make his costume stick so close to his muscles? Mr. Moore, will you sign my DVD of Watchmen Babies? Which of the babies is your favorite?
You see what those bloody corporations do? They take your ideas and they suck them. Suck them like leeches until they've gotten every last drop of the marrow from your bones.
Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
Very well. Oh, little Lulu, I love you, Lou, just the same.
Alan Moore on The Simpsons. It's just that shot of Milhouse with the Watchmen babies. It's just I love it so much. You just you have to bring it back. Like that. This was what first popped into my mind when I saw that Daima trailer. Again, no correlation. It was just the first connection I made. But yeah. Also, if you are a reader of Bounding Into Comics, you might have noticed that. So Alan Moore has been in the news a lot more lately. He's been doing some interviews promoting his short story collection. But as I've been covering his latest thoughts, I use a lot of images from this scene, especially the Watchmen babies in V for Vacation, because if you all know Alan Moore, you know that this scene is a perfect encapsulation of a PG encapsulation, if you will, of his feelings toward the current comic book industry. Oh no, sound was really low. I'll replay it again. Let me bounce that sound back up because I'm up for it. I laugh. Bring it on, YouTube. Ding me, YouTube. Ding me.
Alan Moore, you wrote my favorite issues of Radioactive Man.
Oh, really? So you like that I made your favourite superhero a heroin-addicted jazz critic who's not radioactive?
I don't read the words. I just like when he punches people. How do you make his costume stick so close to his muscles? Mr. Moore, will you sign my DVD of Watchmen Babies? Which of the babies is your favorite?
You see what those bloody corporations do? They take your ideas and they suck them. Suck them like leeches until they've gotten every last drop of the marrow from your bones.
Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
Very well. Oh, little Lulu, I love you, Lou, just the same.
So, fantastic. I Watchmen babies in V for Vacation. Dragon Ball Babies, Z is for Zebra. That's exactly like Timon. I mean, you were on it at the top with the Muppet Babies comparison. Like that's kind of like it's just where my mind goes. I'm sure it's where a lot of people's minds went. It doesn't speak to the quality of what the actual product is going to be or how Toriyama feels about it. It's just funny, and I love that Alan Moore clip. Even though it's from a later episode, it is definitely a Zombie Simpsons episode, but I enjoy that moment very much. I also want to dedicate that. I'm a DJ. This one goes out to my buddy Aiden Cap. He's I don't know if he's watching, but I know he loves that clip, and it always reminds me of him because we share it back and forth. So that one's for you, buddy. That said, I think that is our show for tonight. It has been a long show. It's been a great show. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I'm sorry, not sorry, that I went back, or I spent most of my time on Spider-Man again, but it hurts. It's baffling, it's painful, it's draining, and I'm on this ride until it ends. I'm sitting here waiting. I know it's gonna crash eventually, but oh well. I'll be here to watch the conductor go full steam ahead into that brick wall, you know? So with that, I would like to thank, see, look at that. Zero even says Little Lulu's cartoon aired in Brazil when I was younger. It was cool. We don't get cool things like that. You guys get all the anime, the Eastern European stuff. We had Hanna-Barbera, and that was it. Like, it's not bad, but it's just like there was so much other stuff out there we could have gotten. That all said, I'd like to thank everybody who showed up tonight and talked and hung out and listened to me rant. I know Jacob was here for a little bit. Truth stopped by to say hello. I'm sure Joy is probably lurking somewhere, probably asleep. Obviously, I spent a lot of time speaking with my boys Zero Dozer, Tahillim, and Meteor Advocate Timon. Don't worry, I didn't say your names in any particular order, just how they came to my head. Always appreciating you guys. Always love talking to you guys. You guys help propel the show. You guys have your insights, your questions. I want to hear them. I want to talk to them. It's always fun. As for what I've got going on, you can obviously catch me daily on Bounding Into Comics. I've got articles going up every single day. I've actually got some to go throw up right after we're done here. I'll go grab some food, get back to bounding work. You can find me on That Park Place pretty often. It's up to Joe. So you can find me on That Park Place, which is a new project we're starting, in that Bounding Into Comics is working in collaboration with a bunch of other content creators: Culture Casino, Lorena Creole, Jonas, Campbell, WDW Pro, Vash Sky, bunch of great guys, Tommy Tables. We are working on a new sort of 10-minute live or news show where you tune in. Each creator has their own segment of about minute and a half. We drop to you the news, and then, on to the next one. Just sort of a quick recap. No, not a lot of opinions, not a lot of BS, just the news. So definitely check it out. I've been having a lot of fun there. I'll be having I'm doing another video for them tonight, so obviously look forward to that. Aside from that, you can catch me next week's right here, same Mav time, same Mav channel, for another episode of The Good, the Mav, the Ugly. As always, who knows what we're going to talk about? It is, I pretty much just decide the topic the morning of, right? Unless there's something that really hits me, that really inspires me, the topics get picked, like 10 a.m. Friday. So, yeah, who knows what we'll talk about next week, but I'm sure it'll be fun. With that said, I want to play one last video for you guys, and then I think, do you remember, anybody who watched The Daily Show, remember how Jon Stewart used to do, like, here's your moment of zen, and he would sign off with, like, a video? I'm sort of thinking of doing that, like, stealing that bit, because these last couple of weeks we've had great videos to sign off on. I've always got something fun, and it makes me smile. I want to make you smile. It's great. So with that, I want to share this week's video, or this week's, I don't know, I'll come up with a better name for it. But this week we have a funny little moment from GameSpot's review of Sonic Superstars that kind of exposes just the current state of video game journalism. Whoop, too far.
I wasn't a fan of some changes, like Knuckles' glide having a recovery when it ends, extended if he lands on his stomach, but I digress.
One more time, because I don't know if it came through.
I wasn't a fan of some changes, like Knuckles' glide having a recovery when it ends, extended if he lands on his stomach, but I digress. I wasn't a fan of some changes, like...
Oh man, that gaming journalism, everybody. Calling things a problem that have been standard in a game for years. With that, sign off. I hope everybody takes it easy, and I will talk to you all very, very, very soon.